Part 74. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 734. This was the most comfortable sleep I've had since I can remember. It's better than sleeping with my sister or the Prince of Wales, probably because I have the most comfortable embrace in the world. Although it only appeared when I first went to bed, it disappeared soon because someone was really going to sleep. Counterattack curled up under the quilt and thought to himself. Thinking of what happened that night, the face turned red again, feeling a little ashamed. Crossing his arms with his hands, he thought about how his master could do that, but the Prince of Wales and sister reputation must have done it. He stood up and looked at the bedside table, seeing an hourglass. In addition, there is a pair of beautiful ceramic swan ornaments. I remember asking where I bought them before and they were told they were birthday gifts from Lexington. People often use swans to praise loyalty and eternity in love. However, there are already so many wedding ships, so it seems a bit inappropriate to display them again. It should be replaced with a bone china tea set from Hood's collection, a teapot, and many teacups. Counterattack looked around. Thick curtains blocked the windows tightly, and the light was not very good, it was a bit dark. There was a dressing table with a horn comb on it, and a lot of cosmetics that should have belonged to Lexington. The tall embossed wardrobe was opened just a few days ago and was filled with clothes. There were so many people in the garrison, so this one got a set and that one got a set, so that was it. A big Bismarck doll is placed on top of the wardrobe. It must have been left here by the little house. An upholstered chair made of ivory white solid wood is beside the bed. The owner's clothes, his own made uniform, and underwear are all placed on it. Something suddenly occurred to me, but I couldn't remember what to do. I felt like my head was muddy when I tried to counterattack. Drowsily, she stretched out her white arms from the quilt and reached for the pocket watch on the bedside. Opening the pocket watch, the first thing you see is the photo of Xiaozai. The little loli crouched down with her head in her hands, looking pitiful, but judging from the subtle snicker at the corner of her mouth, it must have been staged. Really, I really want to put my own photo in it. Look at the time again, the long minute hand just points to 6, and then the hour hand passes 8, and it looks like 8:30. 8:30 counterattack muttered silently, and then reacted in an instant. What? It's already 8:30? Without thinking too much, she lifted the quilt and quickly stood up from the warm bed. She stood on the floor with her bare feet and hurriedly picked up her clothes and put them on. The counterattack was not small, and Sugu naturally woke up. He saw that counterattack had messy blonde hair hanging behind her back, and she didn't look like the usual little maid at all. I suddenly felt a little ashamed, and I really became a bit of a scumbag. The game is over, it's already quite late. I took a nice walk around the town hall and talked a lot, so it was even later. Back in the dormitory building, although the lights in some rooms were still on, the windows in most rooms were darkened, so they must have been sleeping. In fact, I gave the ring without any thought at night. I returned to the room all the way and found that counterattack had also come in with my face red. To be honest, I felt a little uncomfortable when I first became an admiral. After such a long time, the psychological barriers that were still there are really not that many now. How could you not like this cute, well-behaved, sensible, and pretty little maid, and she looks so easy to bully. The harem has been open for a long time, and the pots have been broken. Fortunately, I don't stop doing it. Anyway, I have to do it. At this time, seeing Bai Yi quickly put on his clothes and was tying an apron with his hands behind his back, Advisor Su asked, "Fai Yi, you got up? What are you doing in such a hurry?" "It's too late." Counterattack sat on the chair, put on his socks and black leather shoes. I thought to myself that I never sleep in late, so I don't need an alarm clock at all and get up on time. Usually at this time, he would already have gone out to prepare for the Prince of Wales to get up, or else he would be cleaning the garrison with a broom. The sea breeze had blown many fallen leaves on the ground all night. Unexpectedly, something unexpected happened today. Sugu had seen this kind of situation once or twice in Shengsheng. Even though it is already a wedding ship, she still treats herself as a maid. Even the head maid occasionally has problems. After all, she is a human being, not a machine. He said, "It's okay. So you are still a little too young, and your sister's reputation is not in a hurry." The counterattack paused for a moment, then quickly started again. "I thought to myself that my sister was already in the wedding ceremony and I just got the ring. And in everyone's opinion, it's just a reward for the game, just a joke. If someone discovers that he hasn't gotten up yet and still came out of the master's room, he doesn't know what will happen. I really can't be as cool and generous as my sister. No matter what problems arise, everything seems to be taken for granted and under control." Sugu looked at the time. Although it was not early, it was not too late either. Bullying Kent, bullying Santiago, bullying the little maid, bullying people is so fun. When he saw the counterattack, he looked anxious and shy, and said, "Bismarck must have gotten up, and Lexington must have gotten up too. I think everyone must be about to get up. That means North House, Royal Oak, and Bumblebee. She is getting lazier and lazier. I guess these people haven't gotten up yet." The counterattack was a bit at a loss for a while, and Sugu joked, "Are you going to find the Prince of Wales? I am your master, right? Why don't you wait for me to get up?" "Master," the voice that retorted was crying. "Hurry up. Be careful not to let anyone find out." Sugu was naturally just joking. He didn't need anyone to serve him. After thinking about it, you are so anxious and don't want people to know. It makes it seem like we are having an affair. After a pause, Xiao Xiao gave Sugu a white look, but ultimately said nothing. "Comb your long hair, stand in front of the floor-length mirror and skillfully tie it up, then wrap it in a cloth." Putting on the Katyusha, the maid's headdress, the little maid reappears. She smoothed her bangs, patted her apron, and tidied everything up. She said, "Okay, master, I'm leaving first." As soon as I reached the door and put my hand on the door handle, I became worried again, wondering if someone was outside. Lexington, Prince of Wales, sister reputation, Saratoga, everyone is definitely out there. To counterattack, I decided to poison myself. Then she took a deep breath, opened the room, and then she saw York City. There seemed to be someone else, I didn't know who it was, because she had slowly closed the door. He leaned against the door and put his hand on his forehead. I was really going to die, I was going to be finished, and yet people saw me. Just sink it like this and become a deep-sea ship girl. Maybe it will become a deep-sea flagship. Then wreak havoc without thinking about anything. Sugu saw counterattack opening the door and closing it again. He asked curiously, "Is there anyone there?" Yes. After a long time, he slowly spit out this word. That morning, the sun was quite bright. Counterattack was sitting on a bench under the big magnolia tree. Glory, Chaser, York, Jade, and Enterprising surrounded her. "Fight back. I heard that you spent last night in the Admiral's room. Don't even think about denying it. They been to your room and touched your quilt. It's cold. Look, what's on your finger?" Guangrong said. "It's a ring." Holding the apron with both hands, he hesitated and couldn't speak. He really didn't know how to answer better. "Are you sleeping together?" Jade asked. There was a camera hanging on the Enterprising chest. "Absolutely." "A beast, or worse than a beast," York said, thinking that although his admiral has restrained himself a lot now, he used to be someone who would stare at girls unscrupulously and even harass them. His face turned redder as he fought back. "Beast." Missouri stood not far away and said to Sugu, "You actually did it for real, giving out a ring and pushing others to fight back. It's so shameful." Sugu explained it well. Philly and I have known each other for a long time. I like her and she likes me. I had already decided to give her the ring. It just happened to be the right time. What if she misses the ring? Wait a little longer, but I will definitely give you the ring in the future, Suguyi said righteously. If it was Ruhi who won the ring, would you just marry Ruhi? You really have thoughts about Ruhi? Missouri nodded. Sugu was speechless. Missouri helped Sugu straighten his clothes, then patted his chest. You are such a greedy person. There are already so many people, and you are still not satisfied. You tell me what to do. Glancing around, Missouri sighed. She sat on the concrete guardrail, and as the sea breeze blew, she combed her long hair with her 5 fingers. The ship girl is really stupid. Even if the admiral is a bastard, she is not willing to leave like this. Think about it. I really feel that it is not worth it for everyone. There are so many outstanding girls sharing a man. After waiting hard for a day, you may not even get a word or a hug. After finally waiting for a word, you can be happy all day long. But everyone likes it very much, and I can't say anything. Really not knowing what to say, Sugu said, I will try my best. What will you try hard for? Missouri said. In order to live up to everyone, work hard to open a harem. Or to take care of everyone. From now on you will not marry alone and ignore the feelings of others. Sugu was in distress. Sometimes I really envy those ordinary women. When a man cheats on her, he hits her all over the body. Give her a slap and tell her that I'm done with it. Well, everything is over, or we can just get what we need and play with each other. Missouri. He glanced at Sugu and said, I know what you are thinking. I just want to tell you that you are not a ship girl, so you can't understand. Missouri slowly raised his legs and put them together on the railing. He stretched out his hands to hug them and rested his chin on his knees. I would say, for an admiral of your age, to enter the Chuangziu Naval Academy and learn too, it's normal to graduate in 2012, own a small garrison, and have several ship girls. Sugu leaned on the railing. Yes, this is normal. Actually, sometimes I think about it. Well, if I hadn't met Xiaozai, I might not have become an admiral now. Because without her, I wouldn't be able to travel, I wouldn't have met Eugene, and I wouldn't have a letter of introduction, and I wouldn't be able to attend the academy. Take the exam and become an admiral, but Chuangziu will definitely go and have a look when he makes money. When I work in Chuangziu, I will probably be a plumber. I feel like this is the only job I can find. Maybe, with my ability, it will be no problem to be a teacher, teaching mathematics, physics, and chemistry in elementary and junior high schools. I can drive. It's no problem to be a driver. It's okay to make small inventions. This is what I planned before. There are many ship girls in Sichuanshu, but they are not that many in such a big city, but you can always meet 1 or 2 ship girls. But no matter how hard you try, you may not be able to pursue it. You may spend your whole life like this, and then scold them every day, those admirals. Shit, I'm so lucky, there are so many ship girls. Let's scold those ship girls again. So many people like one person, but they don't like me. I personally think that I am quite good, so I might spend a few years to find a ship girl. There are always more solutions than difficulties. If you think of a way, you might be able to get a chance to take the Naval Academy exam, and then pass the exam smoothly. Finally, after graduation, I will have such a big garrison. Without Akage, Zeppelin will definitely have no chance. Fukumae Yamato probably won't be able to meet him, and he won't be able to defeat him if he does, and Lan won't think about it either. The company will definitely know him, but she will definitely not remember me as a little admiral. And you, I'm sure you will too. I don't know him anymore, and Hindenburg has no chance. But it's Colossus, which is somewhat possible. Growing up, I have had bad luck. I have never won any prizes or picked up any money. Even so, my luck should not be too bad. After all, I haven't encountered anything since I was a child. It has been a smooth journey. There have been no car accidents or illnesses. I dislocated my wrist once, had several rabies vaccinations, cats, rabbits, bamboo rats, and dogs. If you think about it this way, it doesn't seem like it's been a smooth journey. In short, I became an admiral, spent a year or two to save resources, and built a ship girl or two. Finally, at my current age, I have 2 or 3 ship girls. The wedding ship may have one, or not, Sugu said. That's right. That's true. Missouri's sitting posture changed again, with her legs hanging from the railing, her left hand on her lap, and her chin supported by the palm of her right hand. You keep saying you have bad luck. But you are from York City, and you are from CV-16. I heard that you built the Colorado and the Lion in one go. You keep saying that you have your own Lion. By the way, there is also the North Zi. I heard that you also built it all at once. You are so lucky. It is quite European, very European. A Colorado is definitely not enough, but adding a Lion or Bazai will be enough for companies to pay attention to you. Although I am not paying as much attention to you as I am now. To be honest, that guy is quite pragmatic. You are not willing to go to the front line garrison now, and you will probably not go to the front line garrison at that time. Then Missouri thought about it, pursed her lips. Forget it, let's not talk about it, it's a bunch of empty talk, who knows what will happen. What happened? Missouri stretched her waist. Anyway, it's already like this. We have a monster-like garrison. There were no files at all before, it seemed like they appeared out of thin air. There are many people who like you, which is more than you can take care of. I had a counterattack yesterday. Then what? Sugu said, if they are willing. Are they willing? Missouri said, don't you have any idea? I see you haven't made any moves at all. There will be bread, and there will be butter. Sugu made a fist with his right hand and laughed. I want them all. Missouri said, shameless. Yeah, I feel so shameless too. He said it sincerely. Then, do you want to come once a month? Missouri blinked. Such an event. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 735. Stop beside the lush shrubs. Cushing held up the book and dreamed, not knowing what happened to them. In addition to the ship uniform, Ziwihi also has several pairs of bows, and she is sitting under the tree taking care of one of them. He used to like it very much, but now Sugu is not too interested in bows. The main reason is that he often misses the shot. He prefers guns. He has a pistol that was given to him by Bismarck and has been well maintained. Nowadays, it can be disassembled and assembled quickly, but that speed is not enough for showing off. He also had a crossbow, which he bought, but he never used it. The arms of the crossbow were probably rusty, and they were thrown away anyway. Walk through the corridor and up the steps. Before I walked into the corridor of the complex, my trouser legs were pulled. When Sugu turned around, he only saw a little girl standing behind him with her hands behind her back. U-47, what's going on? Nothing, U-47 said. Oh, Sugu was about to go to the library to find 2 books to read. He pinched the young girl's cheek and prepared to leave. U-47 followed Sugu and said, Sister Yuxian told us a story before. Under normal circumstances, Yuxian is very busy in charge of the kitchen every day and has no time to tell stories to little Loli. However, a person always has time to rest, and the cafeteria also needs a change of taste occasionally, giving others a chance to perform. Xianghe was almost alone at first, but now that the Kaohsiung sisters are back, they occasionally take charge of the canteen and provide Japanese food. Sushi, tempura, oden, curry, you name it. Yuxian would not be a helper for the Japanese. Whenever she had nothing to do, she would read books, embroider, or be a guest teacher teaching ancient poems and lyrics. She did have this ability. It's not like Sugu was half empty. When he thought about it, he often couldn't finish a whole poem or 2 lines of poetry. She is a little girl but a kid. She must have a deeper meaning. Consultant Suyu 47, what story did she tell you? Zengzi kills pigs. U47 shook his head, danced with his little hands, sharpening his knife like a pig or a sheep. Of course Sugu knew the story well. It tells the story of Zengzi using his actions to teach his children to be true to their word and to be honest with others. But compared to this story, he prefers to educate little Lolita with the story of Washington cutting down the cherry tree. Seeing that her admiral didn't respond, U47 puffed up her face with anger, which made people want to poke her cheek, and she said, "Karmacha calls you big brother." Yasugu responded and waited for the next step. U47 patted his chest, "When we come out to fool around, the most important thing is to keep our word. If we say we will kill his whole family, we will kill his whole family." Hearing this, Sugu thought to himself that he just said a few words casually, but the Italian little loli remembered them all. Then he quickly returned to the governor's house and promoted it, causing himself to complain to Helena, and taught everyone bad things, and everyone imitated him. He asked, U47, "What exactly do you want to say? You are the eldest brother of the town guard, so you have to be trustworthy. I am the leader of the wolf pack, and I have to take care of my little sister." U47 said, "U81 woke up very early today. She has been waiting for you for a long time, but you didn't come. She is very disappointed," said. Sugu asked doubtfully, "Why is she waiting for me?" "As promised, good morning kiss." U47 almost jumped up, she was very dissatisfied. Sugu reacted in an instant and knew what U47 meant. The story of Zengzi killing pigs also educates adults that his words and deeds have a great influence on children. I didn't really care at first, after all, it was a good morning kiss or something. Apart from the fact that it is a wedding ship, among ordinary people, only the shameless South Dakotan can accept it, and the heroic Wichita would have a hard time accepting it. Besides, because of the counterattack, I don't even remember it. It's just that U81, as a little girl, doesn't know much, and it's about the forehead. Think about it, it would be great if your favorite admiral wakes you up with a good morning kiss. But after waiting for a long time, no one came, so I just felt disappointed and too shy to say it. If the other person was an adult, Sugu himself would feel uncomfortable and inappropriate. However, since the other party is a young girl, it doesn't matter that much. He lowered his head and laughed, "Okay, I'll call you 81 tomorrow morning. Remember not to lock the door." "Unlock the door," U47 said. In fact, there is no outsider in the house of the town guard, and everyone usually just closes the door but does not lock it. If you lock the door deliberately, there must be something wrong. For example, Veneto and Hood are alone in the room with ginger and fish cake. The matter was resolved. U47 said, "Admiral, I'm leaving." "Leaving? Are you leaving?" Before U47 took 2 steps, Sugu's hand wrapped around her waist. U47 is puzzled. Kiss U47 first. How could Sugu let this cute little girl go and kiss her on the cheek? "No," U47 shouted. Perhaps the counterattack shocked people so much that they forgot the important things. It was not until the afternoon that everyone remembered that the game rewards had not yet been cashed out. "Admiral, please." Standing by the door, Sugu saw Sugu carrying a large bucket full of clothes. He immediately questioned, "You have so many clothes by yourself?" "Yes. Girls always have a lot of clothes. If you wear the same clothes repeatedly for a month, you will lose. I haven't washed them in the past few days, so I have accumulated a lot." Of course Suzwe would not admit that there were clothes belonging to her older sister and younger sister. Of course, There isn't a piece of underwear in it that anyone can take advantage of, even though they are lusty support level girls who don't seem to care about such things. I don't promise to clean up, but I'll try my best anyway. Although he could ask for counterattacks and reputation, Sugu knew very well that everyone just wanted to see him as an admiral acting like a cow. Suzwe winked, if it's not clean, take it back and wash it again. Exeter received a bowl of egg fried rice specially fried by Sugu. The big Lolita Antonio used up all 10 opportunities to command the admiral, telling stories, pushing the swing. In the evening, Sugu went to Leipzig's room. The girl didn't look like some dead, lazy, or fat house. Her room was very clean. There were no clothes littering the floor, or comics. The lucky cat placed on the desk looks brand new, not to mention the aquarium named Undersea Treasure in the corner. There are no messy cosmetics on the dressing table, such as lipstick, lotion, and so on. He has the character of collecting treasures like a dragon, and is not willing to spend money on these useless things. Even if I don't spend my own money, I don't want to. Leipzig sat cross-legged on the bed, eating a banana, and said, Admiral, if you are willing to give me some money and don't have to do anything, I will consider you qualified. No, Sugu sternly refused. He actually disagreed with his own transaction. Although there was no need to sort it out at all, Leipzig didn't mind tormenting people, then help me sweep the floor first. When Sugu finished sweeping the floor, even though it was just perfunctory, Leipzig hugged the pillow and lay on the bed and shouted, help me move the cabinet to the window. Well, it really doesn't work. Just move it back. Help me sort out the bookshelf and arrange it by category, including romance novels, romance comics, funny comics, and classics. A problem arose at this time. When Sugu was sorting out books, he accidentally found a photo. After just one glance, his face suddenly turned livid, so he waved the photo in front of Leipzig. When did you take this photo? I really want to know. Speaking of which, the letter of apology you wrote to Bismarck is the guarantee of any use. Last month Leipzig looked nonchalant, just tell Bismarck. Threatening me, Sugu said, I'm not worried. Bismarck has known about their affairs for a long time and doesn't mind if I marry a few more people. You are still sitting here taking secret photos. Sugu only saw Leipzig looking at him lightly, thinking quietly for a moment, and then started to act. Kneel down on your knees and touch your head to the ground, actually on the bed. In short, it is the ultimate truth that no matter what you do, you will be forgiven, and no matter what you ask for, you will be promised. Leipzig said, please don't tell Bismarck, otherwise I will die. After putting away the photos, Sugu was still packing the bookshelf. I'll think about it. As Bizai's comic assistant for a long time, Leipzig is really not a person with too much integrity. Admiral, leave it to me. No matter what you do to me, I will not resist. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in you. Your figure is too pitiful. Believe me, I'm actually pretty good at it. Leipzig noticed that Suguhen was staring at her. She paused. Admiral, don't really want it? You can't do this. I'll shout. You can't be moved by poverty, mighty and unyielding. Sugu thought to himself, the only thing missing from your sentence is that wealth cannot be promiscuous. Is this what you meant? So he pinched his chin, glanced at Leipzig, and thought about it carefully. I love short blonde hair. I originally thought Veneto and his ilk were not average. In short, the figure is much better than that of cat-eared ones. It can be said that they are bumpy and curvy. The next day I took Sullivan to Sichuan show. After all, the little lowly won the grand prize. Admiral, would you please take Sigbees and Thatcher with you? Although she wanted to be alone, it was difficult for her sister to refuse. Sugu said, whatever you want, you are the protagonist today and I will listen to you in everything. Go to the central square first, then go to the zoo. While walking on the road, Gugu asked curiously, Sullivan, You called Sigsby and Thatcher, where is your sister Fletcher? She didn't ask me. She definitely doesn't want to come out together. Sugu suddenly felt that Fletcher was a little pitiful, and his sister couldn't think of her at all. The third day, today is the most difficult day for the valet. Royal Oak, Sugu said, Miss. Although not very lucky, Royal Oak surpassed Ziwihi, Saratoga, and many others to win the first prize. Maybe it's because she doesn't care. The more you don't care, the more you win, and in this game, people who usually have bad luck and average people won a big victory. Of course, there are exceptions, such as Yuki Kaze still won the lottery, and Lucky Ehud did not win anything. Fortunately, she is a British ship, has experienced battles for a long time, and has relatively strong resistance. Even after eating 2 dumplings specially made in London, she has not experienced any discomfort so far. The Admiral looks quite handsome. Sugu was wearing a deacon suit that the Queen had made out of a suit and stood up straight. Although he is not very handsome, he is not bad either. The main thing is that he has a good figure and his temperament is there. It goes well with counterattack. Reputation seems to be more mature than Sugu, so counterattack is just right. To be honest, Royal Oak had no idea about the Admiral's one-day valet. If it weren't for everyone's urging, she originally didn't want to participate in the game. She might as well sleep more if she had the chance. She wouldn't get enough sleep anyway. At this time, she was lying on the stone table, her silky black hair flowing down from one side. She was looking at Sugu without giving any orders, but a bunch of people around her were making noises and making noises. Guangrong said, "Serve tea." Sugu didn't move at all. "I only listen to orders from Royal Oak. We are friends of the Royal Oak, hello, we are friends of your master." Sugu did not explain, thinking that even if he is my friend, no one can order reputation or counterattack to do anything except me. Guangrong pushed Royal Oak and whispered twice. This time Royal Oak said, "Tea." "Yes." Master Sugu bent down and bowed, feeling a strange feeling in his heart. Then he went to the kitchen. Someone had already prepared black tea for him, as well as a cake stand full of snacks. All he needed to do was bring it out. Of course it was impossible for Hood to miss such an interesting thing. She said, "Make tea." Now that he understood, there was no use in refusing. After all, the Royal Oak was here, so Sugu could only lift the teapot. "I want scones, feed me." Guangrong pushed away an unconscious, short girl with white hair and dark skin. "South Dakota, why are you running here? You go, don't make trouble." Black tea accidentally spilled on the stone table. The pursuer was dissatisfied and said, "You don't have any eyesight, don't you know how to clean the table?" Sugu said, "As for you, aren't you afraid of my retaliation afterwards? You still want to take revenge on us?" A group of people became very dissatisfied, so Sugu first incurred crazy revenge, ordering one after another. "Punch me on the back. Be stronger. Haven't you eaten? Pinch your shoulders. Harder, harder, the level is terrible. Counterattack, would you like to play? Reputation, he usually orders you. It's not that he won't repay it, the time has not yet come." Painful and happy, Sugu finally accomplished everything. That night. "Admiral, it's almost the winter solstice, and it's time to eat dumplings again." December entered early winter. Scharnhorst and the German sisters returned to the garrison. After so many days, it was indeed fest. "If you don't want dumplings, do you want glutinous rice balls?" Sugu is from the south, and the graceful Yuxian is not from the north. Tang Yuan is fine too. "Let's play the game again." "I won't come." Sugu didn't want to, because he was at a disadvantage. "Admiral, Christmas, it's almost Christmas. But for Christmas, I only know Winter Veil." "Black-hearted Admiral, are you withholding our gifts?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 736. After overthrowing the counterattack and cashing in all the game rewards, time flies by and the 22nd is the winter solstice. There were no activities that day, just a simple dinner of glutinous rice balls, dumplings, and mutton soup. Among them, the glutinous rice balls are filled with the king's black sesame seeds, and the dumplings are filled with cabbage and leeks. Although there are a group of little Lolita making noises everywhere, and even the rare royal sisters North Carolina, Xianghe, and others supporting them, they mainly do it for their younger sisters Washington and Ziwehe. However, in Sugu's mind, the winter solstice is definitely not an important festival. He didn't even remember it if someone mentioned it. After all, my hometown was already unhappy, and schools and companies weren't even on holiday back then. Otherwise, even if March 3rd is a holiday that I have never known for many years, as long as it is a holiday, I will remember clearly which day it is. Saratoga was even more opposed, as she loved being jealous. Think about it, there is no guarantee that little Loli will win the jackpot every time. If the good morning kiss wasn't U81, the date wasn't Sullivan, it was Yatsen, it was Ruhi. The counterattack has fully demonstrated that his brother-in-law is a person who is very good at pushing people along, and who can say what will happen when the time comes. Are some vixens going to take over again? In fact, the most important reason is that Missouri is not interested. And they kept saying that if you play the same activity too often, you will get bored easily, and you should wait for a while before doing it again. In this case, there is a lack of a powerful organizer, and no one stands up. Atlanta can't do it. She's just a light cruiser and can only make noise. The cafe relies entirely on the talents of my sister, Kent, Princeton, etc. to keep it going. Lexington doesn't pay too much attention to the activities. If there are any, he will participate, if not, forget about them. For such a big matter, reputation only depends on the master's orders. All in all, in the end we had to let it go. It just doesn't matter if the winter solstice comes, but Christmas must be celebrated. Although he didn't feel anything, Sugu still knew how important Westerners attached to Christmas. Not to mention that American, German, French and British ship girls account for the majority of the garrison. Even if there are only a few of them, we still need to pay attention to them. Working hard to build the best garrison and give everyone a happy life has always been his goal. When I first entered the academy, I was financially strapped and had no other options. Now that the town government is not short of money, it still needs to be a little more grand. It's not too high, just a little shorter than an ordinary door. An evergreen tree or spruce stands at the door of the office. Next to the spruce, Xiao Zai was wearing a dark green hoodie and a small purple skirt. She was holding Christmas lights, slowly starting from the bottom of the trunk, working her way up to the branches and ends. Although to save trouble, you can hang the lanterns directly on the tree. But there are many advantages to doing so. Not only does it allow the wires to be better hidden inside the tree, it also allows the colored lights to shine outward from the inside of the tree, making it look more beautiful. It's just fine in the front. As a little Lolita, Xiaozai is short, so it's not easy in the back. Seeing Xiaozai standing on tiptoe and Sugu standing beside him, he couldn't stand it anymore. Let me help you. Just like attending a barbecue party, no matter how delicious the adult's barbecue is, you must grill it yourself so that it tastes delicious. Everything in the town hall was decorated, and the only thing left for everyone was a Christmas tree. In order to decorate this Christmas tree, everyone had a long discussion all night before anyone wanted to do it for them. At this time, Xiaozai put down the lantern string, and she said, "I told you. Admiral, don't worry about it, we will do it ourselves." After walking around the spruce tree, Xiaozai crossed his chest with one hand and put the other hand into a fist under his chin. Within a minute, she shouted, "Lafite, bring the ladder over here." Her orange hair always sticks up like cat ears. Every time someone calls her the daughter of Bismarck and Nelson, Lafite brings a ladder. Xiaozai climbed up and stepped on the first step of the herringbone ladder. "Lafite, bring me the lantern string." Slowly, after finally hanging up the lantern wires and hiding them carefully, Xiaozai shouted, "Dream, plug in." I had already taken the plug and was standing next to the power strip. I wanted to plug it in, and the colored lights suddenly turned on. But it's daytime now, the colorful lights are not very bright, and it doesn't look very beautiful. You should be praised for your hard work, but there are always people throwing cold water on it. Keyboard hero Long Xiang expressed his opinion, "My performance is still not good enough." Xiaozai was sitting on the herringbone ladder, and she looked down from below. She knew Long Xiang's virtues, so she loudly said, "Don't do anything, don't talk." He didn't have any eyesight, and he didn't see Xiaozai's pouty mouth or angry face. Long Xiang said, "It's just not pretty enough. If I had known, I would have hung it up." Xiaozai said, "Long Xiang, Sister Xiang, he is making oden." Really, Long Xiang's face was full of excitement. She likes to eat oden the most, especially in this winter. Xiaozai snorted, climbed down the herringbone ladder, reached out and patted the ship suit above Long Xiang's head. "She's missing a stove, hurry up. Let's talk about the stove. Let's talk about it when we're angry." Long Xiang didn't realize it yet. It was agreed that everyone would decorate a Christmas tree together. The small house had been decorated with colored lights, and now it was naturally someone else's turn. I saw Carmichael bringing a huge star, which was placed on the top of the tree as a decoration. Firefly brought a large paper box with various small decorations inside, including ribbons, snowflakes, candles, small stars, small gifts, small candy canes. Even if they knew that the ship girl had superhuman abilities, even if she fell to the ground and the floor cracked, nothing would happen to her. Sugu couldn't help but worry as he kept watching. "Carmichael, be careful. Don't stretch your hand so far, or it will fall. Otherwise, move the ladder. Mahan, don't jump, be careful of falling. Somerez, stop dancing with your cane around. It's dangerous. Thatcher, Sullivan, Amethyst, Blackback Jackal, you don't want so many people to all climb up the ladder." Even though it was winter, Ziwihi was still wearing a short skirt. During this period of time, she saw Sugu squinting his nose and eyes, putting his hands into the pockets of his blue sweatshirt, and she couldn't help complaining, "Admiral, you are really tired. Everyone used to dress up in the guardhouse and climb up and down, but there is no I heard your words of concern. Now it's the little Lolita's turn. I'm so worried. She's the #1 Lolita control in the world." Of course he wouldn't admit it. Sugu glanced at Ruhi and said, "Don't talk nonsense. I usually sleep in, but these days I get up early in the morning and run to the submarine's room." Ruhi sneered, "Tell me, why?" Sugu still defended himself, "I'm just cashing in the reward, it's just my forehead." Ziwihi said casually, "I heard that you not only gave U81 a good morning kiss, but also U47 and U505. After finally going there, it was naturally impossible to wake up U81. After all, these two little girls, U47 and U505, are 100% adorable. Speaking of which, judging from the way their eyes were closed but their eyelashes were blinking, they had actually woken up long ago and were waiting." Sugu was speechless, and Ruhi saw his expression. "I just made a random guess, now you admit it yourself." "You? How do I?" Ruhi moved slightly to the side, signaling to draw a clear line with someone. Even though he has experienced hundreds of battles, Sugu is really powerless in the face of traps that may appear at any time. He thought for a while and finally said shamelessly, "They are not Lolita, they are young girls. I am not a Lolita control, it's just that I control Lolita." Ruhi just laughed, making him feel guilty. There were many people around. For example, wearing long boots, white jeans, and a brown windbreaker, looking at the chic and handsome Missouri. For example, Tianlong and Tatsuda are wearing Japanese-style maids. Including San Juan, who was wearing a knitted hat, and Veneto, who had been silent all the time. We couldn't go on like this. Sugu tried to change the subject. He said, "It's a great Christmas, but there is no snow. Isn't it a pity?" When it comes to Christmas, the first thing that comes to mind is of course snowy days, warm fireplaces, and Santa Claus delivering gifts on a sleigh pulled by reindeer. However, the governor's mansion is located in the south. Not to mention the heavy snow, there is no rice snow at all. It is wishful thinking to expect it to be covered with white snow and a blanket of silver. I remembered that I went to Sichuanjiu a few days ago. Everything in the small stores was as usual, and Christmas trees and snowmen were already placed at the entrance of the big stores. However, those snowmen wearing iron buckets are all fakes. Sugu asked San Juan again, "You bought so many Christmas trees, how much did you spend in total?" San Juan spread his fingers and shook them, and Sugu said, "So expensive." "It's quite cheap," San Juan said angrily. "We went all over the flower and bird market, and those people just took advantage of it, doubling the price one by one. I originally wanted to buy just a few, but it was more expensive. It was more expensive. But Leipzig was stingy and she didn't want to. We left and bought other things, and finally she went to the flower market in the suburbs alone." Sugu asked Missouri again, "Have you finished the Christmas clothes?" In order to create a festive atmosphere, everyone in the town government has a Christmas suit. Leipzig is strongly opposed to this. She believes that a Santa hat is enough. It's just that she was soft-spoken, and Sugu insisted, "Think about it, all the pretty ladies, beautiful girls, little Lolita, and young girls are wearing Christmas clothes. It is such a wonderful scene. Why do you want to be an admiral? This is why. This matter should be left entirely to the person who knows you best." "Don't worry, I guarantee you'll be satisfied," Missouri replied. "I've made the order and will pick it up from Chuangzhou tomorrow." Veneto was looking at Carmichael, Antonio, and others who were noisy and having a lively discussion about decorating the Christmas tree. "When I worked in the Kanyang branch, I had certainly experienced Christmas. Every festive season, we miss our loved ones even more. Without the Admiral around, I saw everyone else happy, only melancholy, lost, and at a loss. It's great to be back at the garrison and with the Admiral now." While drinking coffee and showing a knowing smile, Veneto suddenly found Missouri looking at him. "Missouri, what do you think I'm doing?" Missouri turned her head and said, "Nothing. Leave the turkey to Lexington, she will do it. Even if it is the reputation of the maid chief, not even a single British ship can do it. Prince Eugen is in charge of gingerbread, Zeppelin said she can do it too, and Z16. Richelieu said she made tree trunk cakes." After the little Loli had almost decorated the Christmas tree, Missouri crossed her arms and said, "Sue, please don't keep asking us. You should worry more about yourself. Are everyone's gifts ready? Christmas, of course, presents. It's not okay for a black-hearted admiral to withhold gifts. Not just little Lolita, Santa Claus will not forget the adults who have been busy for a year, and adults also want gifts." Sugu looked at all the little Lolita and thought to himself, the governor's mansion is not short of money and he has always pampered them. Just like Kotaku, she likes Bismarck. In this case, I bought a Bismarck doll and a Bismarck Matryoshka doll. For example, the little raccoon simply faced the water margin 108 General's collection card. The ship girl also has a collection card, and Bismarck's card house has several. This has everything, nothing to give away. But she is a little lowly after all, so if it doesn't work, candy will be fine. As for adults, although some people suggested giving massage coupons, laundry coupons, vow rings, etc., they were unwilling to do so. Seeing Ruhi's ears pricked up, Sugu thought to himself, give this girl a scarf. Sugu looked at Veneto again, a flat-chested pseudo-loli. I originally thought about giving a cat as a gift, but unfortunately not every cat is as honest as Ginger and Fish Cake and won't move or meow. It is said that there is a kind of clothing with many mosaics on it, which can produce a visual deception effect. Wearing it can increase the cup size several times. But think about it, if I really give her this, I am afraid that the joyful Christmas will usher in a bloody disaster. Besides, it would be bad to blackmail Veneto from time to time. I'd better give it to Helena. I don't know how it will turn out, but it must be great. Teacups, gloves, diaries, pens, gifts don't need to be expensive, but they can't be so casual. In short, no matter how difficult it was, he could not show any timidity on the surface. Sugu said, I have already made a plan, what about you? I will give you a gift, what gift will you give me? Gearing up, Ruhi said, how about I give you a fist? The one that guarantees you will lose 2 front teeth. Fortunately, he didn't know what Gugu was thinking, otherwise he would have exploded and no one could stop him. Veneto said, what does the Admiral want? Missouri suddenly said, Admiral, you give us a gift, and we will give you a gift. Do you want to compare, whose gift is more in line with the other's wishes? No, Sugu said, no comparison. It's boring to just pass Christmas, otherwise, let's do this. Missouri glanced at everyone, no one can ask to see who knows the Admiral best. When Christmas is over, let's compare whose Christmas gift is the most in line with the Admiral's wishes. Then win. Those who have died, let me think about it, just make any request, the Admiral must agree. You are the only one with many tricks, Sugu said, don't make a fuss. Just pass Christmas normally. Yes, San Juan nodded in approval. It's boring, Veneto said. I originally planned to give him a wallet, but I had to think about it again. Ziwi said, it's boring. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 737. There was only one day before Christmas, and on the morning of the 24th, Ruhi arrived at Chuangzihu. I just stopped by to have a look without any expectations, but unexpectedly I found that the gift shop was open. Ruhi walked into the gift shop and saw a girl standing in front of the window. That's strange. You're a bastard who doesn't make money. Generally speaking, the more festive it is, the more important it is to open a store. However, for the ship girl, she is not very interested in making money and just opens a shop for fun. Holidays, rest. Although she usually does this, today is a bit special. The girl closed the glass of the window. Valentine's Day, Chinese Valentine's Day, and Christmas, these are the only 3 holidays I dare not close the door. Why? I'm not afraid of you who want to give gifts to the Admiral. Ship girls smashed doors and stores. You are the only one who owns the entire Sichuan show. Where can you not buy anything if you have money? Ruhi said with disdain. The girl didn't talk nonsense, she waved her hand, okay, let's see the guests off. I have to admit that although the prices are not cheap, the products in this store are exquisitely made and come in many varieties. Ziwi said, I robbed them. The girl chuckled and blinked, do you want me to recommend you? I know your Admiral very well. Ruhi said casually, oh, what did you say he likes? The girl laughed so hard, Lori, he likes loli, especially the little loli named Xiaozai. Even if we don't use carrier-based aircraft, Ruhi said, I can easily kill you if I want to. Xianghe smoothed things over, okay, Ruhi, please stop arguing. Your sister is still gentle, but you can't. You probably won't be able to get married in the future. Ruhi patted the cashier. If you're naughty again, I'll take your head off. Walking past a shelf, Ruhi said, Sister, what do you think of this lighter? Xianghe said, Admiral, don't smoke. Yes. He doesn't smoke, and he doesn't like to drink. He doesn't look like a man at all. A good man is a man who doesn't smoke or drink. Ruhi paused and laughed. I admit he is a man, a good man, forget it, a pervert. There have been 12 wedding ships, there is no way to refute this. Xianghe looked at his sister and thought, if he is not lecherous, you will have no chance. Ruhi, what do you think of this? Compared to his younger sister who was hesitant, the smiling Xianghe quickly picked out the gift, a pair of playing cards. Each playing card had a cartoon kanji printed on it. Ruhi said, it's not bad, he must like it. You can give it to the Admiral. Xianghe is a good sister. His sister's happiness is very important, and he can do it anytime. Keep it, I'll take a look. Ruhi suddenly saw an umbrella placed in the corner. She picked it up and opened it, and saw the pattern of blue and white striped underwear lining the inner lining. She burst out laughing. Sister, look at it. The bottom of the skirt. This kind of umbrella gentleman will definitely like it. It's not good. What's wrong? That's it. Think about it, even if it's a rainy day, seeing the stripes on your head will make you feel better. Ziwahi put away his umbrella. All in all, if it was normal time, I would buy it without hesitation and give it to the Admiral. It would be fun to use it as a prank. But for Christmas, it's better to give a more serious gift. Ziwahi thought to himself, what does his Admiral like? I like eating meat, but it's impossible to buy a sauced pork elbow and go home. I like mango among fruits, so I can't buy several kilograms of mango as a gift. It's okay to buy a comic book, but there are a lot of comic books in Bazai, so it's easy to buy too much. If you can't buy a suitable gift here, wait until you go to the bookstore. Little Lolita, this is a good idea. If you catch a peek, winning will be an easy matter. Compared to Ruhi, Saratoga was not so anxious. She was still in the town hall and did not rush to Chuangzhou like others. Brother-in-law, what do you like? Saratoga sat next to Sugu, hugged his arm and hugged him tightly. Sugu said, I like whatever Gia gives me. Saratoga smiled, what do you like the most from me? Nothing in particular I like. There must be. I like you, Gaga. Perfunctory. Saratoga stared at Sugu, you really don't want to say anything? Wichita asked, South Dakota asked, many people asked, and no one said anything. Sugu rubbed his head, I don't agree with what Missouri said. What? Whoever gives the most satisfactory gift can make any request, think about it, it's the same thing. You usually ask me, I never say who I like the most. You may say I'm naughty, but I won't tell you anyway. If you don't tell me, don't tell me. Saratoga pushed Sugu's hand away, oh, I'll give you a set of women's clothes. That afternoon, Missouri walked to Sugu and asked, Sugu, is the gift I gave you okay? Christmas is tomorrow. It's Christmas Eve. Missouri said, oh, don't worry about the details. Just tell me whether the gift is good or not. Sugu was confused, when did I accept your gift? Missouri raised her chin, Sugu looked over and saw Andrea standing there. Andrea was as usual, with her blonde hair tied into twin tails. The only difference is that today she wears a pair of snow boots, a red skirt on top, a red bra wrap top with raw edges, a bell hanging on the chest, and a bow tie on her neck, also hanging a bell. There is no need to look at the red Santa hat on the head, this outfit is self-evident, Christmas clothes. The girl is already cute, and when she puts on her Christmas clothes, she is at least 10 points above the original. Missouri smiled, I told everyone that I should take a shower in the afternoon and change into Christmas clothes in the evening. Each of them had a Christmas outfit. Of course, I threatened them, but there was nothing I could do about whether they wore it or not. Praise me. I have visited all the stores in Sichuansho, and there are many styles of Christmas clothes. I have chosen this set of Christmas clothes, and this one is the most revealing. Other Christmas clothes are well hidden, but this one is the most exposed. It's okay to put on a Christmas costume and call it a sexy Christmas costume. Well, it's still a little bit worse to call it a sexy Christmas costume. In short, if you let the ship girl wear it outside and show it to other men, she will definitely be reluctant to let it go. But there are no outsiders in the town hall. It's no problem to wear it, it's a feast for your eyes. Speaking of which, Andrea is wearing a waistcoat. I can't tell, but she actually has breasts. I still thought she was Junpei. Look, Kyo is out. The effect is completely different. It's so white and greasy. I'll wear it too, after I take a shower later. Sue, tell me, what do you think of this Christmas gift? As it gets later and later, one by one takes a shower and changes into Christmas clothes. CV-16 was dressed in Christmas clothes, but wore more black stockings, a belt around his waist, and a corset. He usually looks serious and rigid, but now he looks much cuter. Colorado is dressed in Christmas clothes, and his plump bust can simply be described as being ready to be seen. It can be said to be a black hole. Even light has no way to escape. In short, you can't take your eyes away at all. Fortunately, it's a wedding ship, so it doesn't matter if it's a little bit extravagant. Little Lolita's Christmas outfit is a little more restrained, like a coat, but it's still very cute. Dazzled by what he saw, Sugu wanted to say, "Well done, Missouri, you understand me." As for the whole night, Venito's eyes were evasive, and he was sitting alone in the corner mumbling, not knowing what he was talking about, and looking very uncomfortable. That's a story for another day. The day passed quickly. At night, several decorated Christmas trees were placed by the door, becoming beautiful under the colorful lights. Holly wreaths hang on the walls of the cafeteria, and there are many ribbons, green pine, dieffenbachia, and holy berries for decoration. Many tables were put together to form a long table with many candles lit on it. Food is essential, but there is no Chinese food at all. There are many people in the garrison, so there are many big turkeys. A large number of fruits and vegetables, such as carrots, celery, onions, chestnuts, etc. are filled into the turkey belly, and there are many spices on the surface. Just looking at it will make people feel appetite. British ships are not allowed to enter the kitchen. This is Lexington's craftsmanship. Of course, she has many helpers, such as San Juan, etc. After all, one person cannot complete so much work anyway. In addition, grilled polenta with a layer of cream and some fruit ingredients is also their specialty. How to make gingerbread cookies? Sugu knew it very well. It's nothing more than small eggs. Just kill the birds in the western wilderness. Kill the dragon eagle at the gate of Silvermoon City. Then the holiday spices can be purchased directly. The small gingerbread made by Prince Eugen, Zeppelin, Z16, Emden and others are used. Butter, brown sugar, water, honey, and so much more. Sprinkle with frosting sugar, and each small gingerbread has many shapes, such as canes, Christmas trees, snowflakes, gloves, deer, etc. Not only that, there are several beautiful gingerbread houses. A roast suckling pig with an apple in its mouth. There are also Christmas puddings, tree trunk cakes, smoked ham, Christmas salmon. Sister Yuxian, Christmas Ninghai and Pinghai sat next to Yuxian and looked around. They were very excited. It's not Christmas yet, it's Christmas Eve, Chungqing explained. She is already a fisherman, and New Year's Eve is the most important. Actually, Christmas is nothing special. Guangrong heard it, my goddess of dawn, don't forget your roots. Hood's two cats, Ginger and Fish Cake, were tied with red ribbons and hung with bells. The three little wolves of U81 all wear Santa hats. Essex's bald eagle Bell McCann lost energy at night and was so beaten that he looked like a mummy. Teacher Bell, wake up, CV-16 said, or go back to sleep. No, I have to protect the dumplings. Alfred Hahn rode his motorcycle, you also need to dress up. Really, I'm really upset that the college doesn't hold a Christmas party. I don't even give out any Christmas clothes. It's really stingy. I thought about it and decided to come here, otherwise I don't know where to go during the holidays. I originally shouted Nelson came with her, but she didn't want to. Forget it if she didn't want to, I don't owe her anything. Let me tell you, Chuangziu can't wait. I just walked on the street and saw many couples holding hands. Good dog food, it tastes terrible. What a pity, I didn't see Bai Shui. Colossus came to the town hall in the afternoon, and she was completely rude. Speaking of which, she has a room here, and some people already regard her as a sister. If we don't join the garrison in the future, it will really be a lost cause. Northampton sat upright. York City, Bumblebee, sisters and sisters are close together. They are wondering why the company is unwilling to come, otherwise the three sisters will be together. Next time, we must get the company back. Thatcher's Christmas costume is unexpectedly cute. Quincy is also cute in his Christmas outfit. After all, she still knew some etiquette. She was sitting at the long table, not eating openly, but just eating secretly. The Prince of Wales has long golden hair hanging behind her. She is not wearing a Christmas costume, but a knight's costume and a red cape. She saw it and said loudly, "Quincy, don't eat it secretly, wait a minute." "I'm hungry." Quincy reluctantly put down the grilled wings in his hand. New Orleans held his sister's head and comforted her. "Akin, wait a moment." Tilting his head slightly, the Prince of Wales saw Akagi again. "I think that you are the Admiral's wedding ship, and you are the flagship of the garrison's aircraft carrier, so you can't set a bad example." She sighed, "Akagi, you too, don't eat." Akagi pretended to be dumbfounded and put down his fork. "I don't understand Christmas." The little devil followed behind, and the little angel Kamichi ran in front of Sugu. She opened her hands wide and said, "Admiral, Merry Christmas." All of them are ordinary destroyers in the game. In fact, they are all little Lolita that are quirky, cute, silly, or weak. Each one is extraordinary and unique, and cannot be evaluated based on strength alone. Sugu said, "You too, Merry Christmas." Kamichia spread her hands, "Bring me the gift." Sugu patted Kamikia's hands, "Don't be anxious, don't worry, everyone has it." Guam was not wearing Christmas clothes, but a long red skirt with fur edges looked almost like Christmas clothes. In the noisy cafeteria, she hummed lightly. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Sugu stood aside and suddenly heard such a song. He felt a little nostalgic and hummed softly along with it. Guam saw him and asked out of curiosity, "Can the Admiral also sing?" Jingle bells, I don't know how many times I've heard it before. Of course, on the one hand it is the English version, and on the other hand it was a long time ago. Sugu said, "I know a little bit. It's Christmas, and the Admiral doesn't even know a single Christmas song." Guam said, "I'll teach you." Sugu sat at the long table. Before he could say anything, Xiao Zai stepped on the stool, hugged him from behind, put his chin on his head, raised one hand high, and sang loudly. We were riding on sleds through the blizzard. Racing across the fields, we laughed and sang. Sugu followed and hummed softly, "Dingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bells." Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 738. The Christmas Eve dinner ended smoothly. There were hundreds of people in the cafeteria, and no one chose to leave. Even though it wasn't too cold, someone brought a brazier. Think about it, a family gathers together at home and has a nice dinner together. Then they sit around the blazing stove, play the piano and sing, and talk about family happiness. What could be better than this? People must be loyal, and the fire must be hollow. Chung Ching took the tongs, clamped 2 pieces of charcoal and put them in the brazier, then placed the tongs on the brazier. Which of you wants to eat glutinous rice cake? There is a small iron pot next to the charcoal fire, which contains water, which is used as a fire extinguisher. In fact, no one knows if it is useful, but I just put one out of habit. Akagi sat next to her. She peeled an orange and stuffed the peel into a small tin can. I want one. Chung Ching glanced at Akagi indifferently and thought to himself, Akagi, everyone is an enemy. Do you have any consciousness at all? Come to think of it, she was actually used to it. For example, when everyone is in the kitchen, except for the little Lolita, the Japanese usually don't come in, only Akagi joins in the fun. So he took out 2 glutinous rice cakes and placed them on top of the set fire tongs. Ning Hai and Ping Hai sat together, and she said, I want to bake sweet potatoes. I want baked potatoes. The speaker was Chang Chun. She was lying in Yuxian's arms. Potatoes were her favorite. We are all ship girls, not battleships. Although he is very aware of this, Kaga has always been resistant to the mistakes made by the Kaga aircraft carrier. At this time, she was holding a small plate, drinking a small glass of wine, watching Akagi and a group of fishery boats sitting happily together, thinking that the past history was nothing at all. We are all sisters now. Live in the same garrison and have the same admiral. So, do you want to find some excuse to go over and warm the wine and say a few words? Princeton was performing magic. He took out rabbits from the magic hat, then took out doves, and then took out candy canes and distributed them to the little Lolita who were watching. Wow, with the fullest expression, or rather the most exaggerated, Lan covered her mouth with both hands, looking surprised. Cushing wasn't much better, taking the candy cane and jumping around. Nevada was holding a deck of cards and dealt a card to everyone in front of him. When he was rarely happy, Washington did not use an axe to teach her not to gamble in the garrison. Do you want it? Nevada said. Remind you, if you don't want it before 6 o'clock, you will starve to death. Colorado waved his hand. Maryland carefully looked at her own card. It seemed a little small. She knocked on the table and said, yes. Nevada flew down a card, 8 points. His shoulders slumped for a moment. Maryland flipped up his cards. The numbers on the 2 cards added up to 13 points. It exploded. As Santiago looked on, she asked, what are you playing? 10:30, Nevada said, would you like to play? After a while, Santiago's tail was wagging, and she asked timidly, does this count as a 5th child? There was no activity. Sugu and everyone were sitting at a dining table chatting. Lexington asked, Admiral, how does my turkey taste? I used to be in charge of everyone's dinner. Since coming to the town hall, as more and more people came back to the townhouse, especially Xiang He, who was an expert in cooking, as well as the supreme cook, the beautiful cook, and her archenemy Yuxian returned to the townhouse, it was a rare occasion for her to enter the kitchen. The only few times I made a late-night snack for my sister or the Admiral, in order to train CV-16 to become an excellent wife, not only housekeeping but also cooking skills were essential. During that time, she went into the kitchen as many times as more. Although it looks good and shiny, when you eat it, the turkey meat is a bit woody and not so delicious. But Sugu knew very well that Lexington wanted to be praised, so he said, very good. But when I ate it, it didn't taste good at all. It's not that easy to deal with. Lexington blinked. But this is the truth, it feels completely inferior to the dishes that Yuxian usually prepares. If you want to capture a man's heart, you must first capture his stomach. I feel like this cannot be accomplished. It's not that our army is incompetent, it's that the enemy is too cunning. Sugu didn't panic at all. He said, it's hard for a clever woman to cook without rice. This is the taste of turkey meat. I just want to say that your cooking skills have improved. Lexington pursed his lips and smiled, you are really good at talking. Richelieu also wore a Christmas outfit. In addition to a Santa hat, he also wore a headband with reindeer antlers, which was sexy. She looked at Fantasy running around. Before I returned to the town hall, Fantasy used to dress up as a reindeer on Christmas Day, pulling a sleigh and pulling Vaclan. Originally, Sukov was playing with Fantasy, but she turned a corner. The sled was too late, and one time it hit a tree, and we never played again. Richelieu smiled again. Joan of Arc is wearing a knight's uniform. She looks serious and rigid. She usually wears an apron and her hair is tied in braids. Admiral, you said she looks like a village girl. Haha, she actually likes her very much. Ski. Sugu looked longingly. I've never seen heavy snow before, and I can't even think about skiing. I remember once, when I was a child, about 7 or 8 or 9 years old. Anyway, I was still in elementary school. Just once, that year, it snowed a little. It was either goose feather snow or Michelle snow. Then my brother and I put a lot of effort together, filled a basin with snow and built a snowman. Sugu continued, in winter, it's most comfortable to stay at home and sleep in every day. Just forget about traveling to the north just to see the snow. Speaking of which, spring is wet where we live, with water all over the walls and floor, and even clothes. Don't dry it in the sun, it's hot in the summer and cold in the winter. I still like autumn, neither cold nor hot. I wear an autumn coat during the day and cover myself with a quilt at night. It's comfortable. It's October, and a street is filled with the fragrance of Osman thus. The Prince of Wales said, it's like Christmas has never been celebrated before. Thinking that you guys don't know how to take care of children, Sugu said, it's so embarrassing for you to say that. Christmas Eve was just like that, playing small games and chatting, and it passed quickly. Little Loli has gone to bed long ago, although there are a few people such as Mahan and Siang Siang who are unwilling to sleep. She usually always puts on a dark face, but Helena said something like that, and the Prince of Wales coughed slightly, and they immediately realized what was going on and went back to the room. It's past midnight, and many adults have gone to bed. Like Royal Oak, who was originally drowsy, but was unwilling to leave alone first, and is now probably fast asleep. There are still scattered lights in the dormitory building. This is a warehouse, but the lights are still bright. It's not that Leipzig is here. I saw many large and small gifts on the ground, like a courier store, with many people inside. Lexington, Reputation, Shugu. Not going to bed so early, Saratoga looked at the gifts on the ground and the labels with names attached to them. After all, there are many people in the garrison and there are many gifts. It would be embarrassing to give the wrong gift. Looking around, she didn't see the gift with her name written on it. Sugu curiously asked Sugu, who was putting the gifts into his big pocket, brother-in-law, what gift are you going to give me? Of course you can't turn on the light when giving gifts. Even with a flashlight, it's still inconvenient to find gifts in a big pocket. Try to remember who each gift belongs to, its size, shape, and wrapping paper. A bag has just been packed, which contains gifts from the submarine, the Fletcher family, Akatsuki Raiden, and others. After hearing Saratoga's words, Sugu said without raising his head, do you really want to know? What do you hate most about reading novels? It's nothing more than a spoiler. If you know what the gift is in advance, there is no point in opening the gift. There is no surprise at all. Saratoga said, forget it. After thinking for a while, Saratoga asked, brother-in-law, what gifts did you prepare for them? Who are you asking? Sugu said. Those little ones. I just bought some randomly after all, no matter who it is, adults or little girls, everyone's gifts are carefully selected. For this purpose, I asked many people what they liked. What does Quincy like? Asked New Orleans. Ask Tianlong and Long Tian what Xiaoxiang Leiden likes, however, everyone's opinions are only for reference. Saratoga said funnily, brother-in-law, you won't buy another scarf for Firefly. She already has a lot. I'm not that stupid anymore. Sugu smiled dryly, remembering that this had happened before, because Firefly liked to wear scarves, and every time he gave her a scarf, she was scolded. After such a long time, I finally know now that we should not just consider what the other person likes, but also what the other person needs. Gently picking up a gift with the label Blackback Jackal written on it, Saratoga asked, what did you give Blackback Jackal? Sugu said, gloves. Why? I feel like she needs it more. La fight. Sugu thought for a moment and said, a bat. She doesn't play baseball, Saratoga said, thinking that the townhouse didn't even have a baseball field or a football field. She can hit people with the bat. Sugu said, I have asked me for it many times before, but I didn't buy it for her. This group of little Lolita is already difficult to educate. Helena said angrily, do you want her to go around hitting people with a bat? Sugu said, she knows what's appropriate, otherwise there are a lot of things in the guardhouse that can be used to beat people. Saratoga asked again, where is the little house? Pillow, Bismarck's pillow. Although she has only joined for a year, Missouri is considered a big figure by everyone, and she has been involved in many decisions of the garrison. At this time, she would definitely not go to bed so early. She said, Bismarck's pillow, did you really buy it for a small house? Have you used it yourself first? I thought it was just a talk, but I didn't expect Missouri to actually change into Christmas clothes. Her figure is already impressive, and her face is even more beautiful, charming, and delicate. She must be a very qualified juicer. Sugu glanced at Missouri, then looked away, and said, I hug Bismarck every day. Only small houses are rare for Bismarck's pillow. Although Bizai went to bed, Bismarck was not asleep yet. She stood aside, looking out the window into the darkness, saying nothing. I thought to myself that my admiral was really speaking out. Full of curiosity, Saratoga squatted on the ground and picked up a Christmas gift. She continued to ask, what did you give Sigsby? Bracelet. Sugu said. Thatcher is the little fool, Sullivan is the most well-behaved, and Sigsby is the elf. She is not an ordinary little loli. Unlike Ogalani, who is just lustful, Sigersby knows how to dress up at a young age and reads fashion magazines when he has nothing to do. Missouri said, Sue, you don't really have thoughts about Sigsby. What do you mean by giving me the bracelet? I want to tie you up for the rest of your life. Sugu didn't even bother to explain, do I still need to be tied up? I am an admiral, and as a ship's wife, Sigby's will never leave me. Missouri was speechless. It was really like that. Everyone was helping, and Saratoga was totally joining in the fun. What is this oversized gift? The things inside are very small. Sugu smiled, it just looks big. It's specially prepared for York City. You really like her? It is okay. Finally, not asking, Saratoga walked to the corridor. She looked at the dormitory building, and there were several windows with lights on. Some people are not asleep yet, how can you give gifts? Sugu said, then just wait a little longer, otherwise it will be delivered tomorrow. Are you going to the adults' room? People had long been angry. Sugu said, I didn't want to go, but some people said I should go, so I just gave out gifts to everyone. Saratoga reminded, don't let your mind wander. I don't want to die. Sugu said. Humph. Saratoga didn't believe it. Although I know there is no Santa Claus in this world, The gifts are all sent by the Admiral. A group of little Lolita hung up Christmas stockings in their rooms early, and even put milk and cookies to remind them to remember them. We're not children anymore, and adults don't pay so much attention to formalism, but some people are still looking forward to it. It's like a wedding ship. Without saying anything, you are looking forward to the Admiral's surprise and seeing a gift the next day. People like the Raiders, Wichitas, South Dakotas, etc., they want you to go to your room. Even if I can't help it, if I have to do something, I will never resist, but cater to it. This is still open to question. Even Zeppelin, Colossus, Hindenburg, and others, if the Admiral who is destined to be together forever runs into his room to give out gifts, he will not say anything as long as he does not move his hands or feet. Finally, after all the lights in the dormitory building went out, it looked like we were ready to move. All the gifts were put into the big pockets and everything was packed away. Originally, everyone had changed into Christmas clothes, and as an Admiral, there was no exception. But it wasn't until now that Sugu put on a big beard and looked like Santa Claus. Sugu carried his big bag, and Saratoga circled around him, holding his chin. Seriously, brother-in-law, you look so stupid. It should be fine. Sugu took 2 steps and wanted to see his own image, but unfortunately there was no mirror. Saratoga chuckled, it's still so silly. Just be stupid, Sugu said. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 739. Bismarck was still in the warehouse. She was standing in front of a shelf, looking at a picture frame. It's just that the photo in the frame has long faded, and there's nothing visible at all. I don't know if it's a character or a landscape. To be precise, this is not steel, but when it is salvaged from the seabed, it still carries memory and history, and can be used to wake up the ship girl or do other things. The crowns of coconut trees swayed in the sea breeze. Saratoga and Lexington stood in the corridor, looking at the outline of the townhouse hidden in the darkness. Brother-in-law is gone, Saratoga said. Instead of joining in the fun and waiting for the Admiral to come back in the warehouse, Lexington responded. Thinking of the woman with long brown wavy hair who followed her brother-in-law, Saratoga said, Missouri is really the #1 vixen in heaven. She is obviously not a wedding ship. She is sticky every day. They have similar interests. Lexington suddenly laughed, they have similar tastes. Saratoga leaned against the wall of the warehouse and said dissatisfiedly, the bastard looks at the green beans. How can anyone say that about his brother-in-law? I have to say it. Saratoga grinned. Lexington smiled. She didn't speak, but just stroked her sister's long, smooth golden hair. As usual, she always treats people like children. Saratoga slapped her sister's hand away and said, Sister, what gift do you think my brother-in-law will give me? I don't know, Lexington replied. He must have asked you, Saratoga said, what do I like? Lexington straightened her long hair and said, really not. Yesterday he asked me what Rabbit likes. Although I am Rabbit Senior, I don't know what Rabbit likes. He didn't ask my sister what I like. Why? Did he just want to give me a random gift? Saratoga snickered, or, because you like me so much and know me so well, you don't even need to ask others to know what I like. Of course he likes you, such lovely gaga, my sister. Lexington said. She thought to herself, even though the Admiral said that there would be no discrimination, how could a person be completely fair and close? It makes people a little jealous. The truth is so cruel, no one can compare to Xiaoze, not even myself. Saratoga muttered, my brother-in-law must like my sister more than me. You call him brother-in-law and admit that you are a sister-in-law. It would be bad if a person prefers sister-in-law to wife. Lexington showed a faint smile and thought to himself, Gaga, you still have a little bit of self-knowledge. Well. With a sweet smile, Saratoga said, I don't know what my brother-in-law gave me, I liked a necklace last time. It was very beautiful, but it was very expensive, so I didn't buy it. Mainly because I thought about it, like Bay, I bought so many comics, but I haven't read many of them at all. I probably won't wear them a few times if I buy them. I like the willow leaf earrings, which are thin. Well, the last time I saw a pair of long sapphire earrings, they were also very beautiful. If it's earrings, Saratoga touched her earlobe, he will be responsible for piercing my ears. Sister, will it be painful? That shop on Haven Road sells jewelry and perfume. Haha, I remembered that my brother-in-law always said that compared to perfume, the scent of soap is the best. Bastard, he also said that the scent is actually a stink that has been diluted many times. By the way, there is also a hairband. I think Sigsby looks good in a hairband. Just thinking about it for a moment, Saratoga's expression became ugly and painful. As a ship girl, she is beautiful, young, and has a good figure. If you add 1 point, you will be fat, and if you lose 1 point, you will be thin, unlike Colorado, Prince of Wales, West Virginia, and Helena, whose figures are too exaggerated and normal. You won't like it? If there is a competition, just admit that your sister is the first. As long as there is no sister, I will definitely win the first place next time. Fidgeting with her bangs, Saratoga thought to herself, everything is fine, but the hairline is too high, which is really terrible. Humph, anyway, whoever dares to say something about the forehead will end up killing someone. The gift had not yet arrived, Saratoga fantasized, it doesn't matter what gift my brother-in-law gives, as long as the gift he gives is enough. After thinking about it again, Saratoga crossed his arms and said, if you are too perfunctory, you will still have to trouble him. After a busy day, Lexington asked out of curiosity, Gaga, what Christmas gift did you give your brother-in-law? Saratoga wrinkled her nose, I asked him what he liked, but he didn't want to tell me. I wanted to kick him, so I just bought whatever I wanted. Lexington said, Leipzig usually, well, saves. If she is willing to give something, whether it is a watch, a wallet, a lighter, or something, it will cost a lot of money. Even if the Admiral doesn't like it at all and doesn't need it, he will definitely I'm very happy. If the same thing were replaced by someone else, the effect would be greatly reduced. If it were children like Xiao Zai and Utopia, a greeting card would be enough. If it were replaced by you and me, it wouldn't work. When giving a gift, it's not just about what he likes, but also how you feel about it. Saratoga thought for a while, it's so troublesome, you have to like it, and you have to be thoughtful. Although the gift was ready, Saratoga held Lexington's hand, sister, you are very reasonable. What do you think I should give you? You can send it next time. What's the best gift for you? Why are you asking me? Lexington looked up at the sky and smiled, he told you all. Did you say that? Saratoga was confused, no, what did he say? Lexington knew that her admiral didn't have that intention, so it didn't stop her from misinterpreting it, he said he likes you. Saratoga sneered at first, paused, and became thoughtful. Counting from the time we met the admiral, we have been living together for more than 2 years. I have experienced many things along the way, and they are all memories that I absolutely do not want to forget. After all, she is her sister, so she can't help her. Of course, how much she can understand depends on her understanding. Smiling lightly, Lexington said, Gia, do you remember? You used to sneak into your brother-in-law's quilt, and you were only wearing underwear. Night attacks are very powerful. Why are you saying this all of a sudden? Haha, I don't even remember it. Saratoga looked to the side, she remembered clearly what happened. Even though he is very close to the admiral now, there was a long time when the admiral looked at him like a stranger. The relationship cannot become closer, which makes people feel distressed. Compared to himself, the admiral and Akage were very close and encountered a dilemma. It felt very difficult before, but now I feel all sweet when I recall it. Lexington said, I just went out for a walk, and someone quietly did something small. He wore a maid outfit, a wedding dress, and secretly wore my wedding dress, and he didn't know how to cherish it. Fletcher was still working in a maid cafe at the time. In order to seduce her brother-in-law, she stole a maid outfit. After giving it a try, I found it not very effective. Then he changed into his own wedding dress, and finally took out his sister's wedding dress. My sister's most important wedding dress is extremely precious. I usually don't want to wear them at all, so I take them out every once in a while to tidy them up and then store them carefully. I didn't expect that my sister would see it from the beginning. In order to get my sister's forgiveness, I had no choice but to kneel down and beg for forgiveness. Thinking of this, Saratoga quickly said, Sister, after that incident, I have never worn your clothes. I don't mind if you wear my clothes, Lexington said, you are my favorite sister. I will forgive you no matter what you do. Isn't your favorite sister CV-16, Saratoga still grudges her heart. Lexington said, she is my sister, and you are my biological sister. I am my sister, and she is your daughter. Saratoga squinted at Lexington, and then let her sister knock her head. There was a sudden silence, and Saratoga said, Sister, I didn't know that my brother-in-law is here now, I'm going to take a walk. Go ahead, Lexington said. After leaving the warehouse, Saratoga walked around the garrison under the moonlight for a while. Somehow, she walked into the dormitory building and stopped in front of a room door. Then he slowly opened the door, and under the faint moonlight, he first saw a Christmas tree with many decorations hanging on it, which he hung up himself. There are some gifts under the Christmas tree, and I don't know who put them there. By the way, shouldn't it be placed inside a Santa hat? However, my brother-in-law is not a giant, and his Christmas hat is just a little bit small, so he probably won't be able to hold so many Christmas gifts. There are hundreds of people in the garrison. Christmas gift. Christmas gift. Christmas gift. Saratoga walked over to the bed and sat down, her lips pursed. Obviously everyone has a bed, but Carmichael and Aviel slept on the same bed. She was not sleeping at all, one hand was tightly hugging her sister's neck, and one foot was exposed, not knowing how cold it was. Sugu showed a smile, covered her with the quilt, and then stuffed each gift into the Christmas stockings they hung on the wall. Several bookshelves were placed along the wall, filled with books of all kinds. There is a cat climbing frame next to the bookshelf, and there is also a cat house on the ground that I helped make myself out of boredom. The glasses were on the bedside table, the Santa hat fell to the side, and Hood looked like he was sleeping peacefully. Even though we had slept together for a long time, this was the first time I saw her like this. Sugu opened his pocket, found a gift, placed it gently next to the pillow, and then tiptoed away. The glorious room was a bit messy, with underwear scattered everywhere, all in a sexy style. Despite this, her quilt was well covered, and there was no benefit at all. The person seemed to be asleep, but the floor lamp next to the bed was still on. With such a lamp, you don't need to use a flashlight, so it is very convenient whether you are looking for gifts or doing anything. Sugu picked up the gift. He did not rule out that the royal ark was the kind of person who could only sleep with the lights on. He showed a smile of relief, thinking that it was really thoughtful. Coming out of Changchun's room, Missouri said, "Su, you won't secretly visit your relatives?" "Of course not. I won't take advantage of such a good opportunity." Missouri shook her head, "I really don't know how to say good things to you. Why don't you feel sorry for your misfortune and be angry about it?" Helena said amusedly, Have the Admiral been attacked? He just put the gift next to the pillow and looked like he was sleeping soundly. Suddenly he put his arms around your neck. I've always thought about it, but unfortunately I didn't. Sugu said, who would do that? Helena said, Cologne really doesn't live up to expectations. Missouri said, although Cologne is not there, there will be raiders next. I feel that she is not good, a bit dull, and quite stupid. She may have a thief heart but not courage. South Dakota, she is very likely. But her words, it is estimated that you fell asleep before you went to her room. If you have the heart, the courage, and the patience, I vote for Wichita. Sugu smiled, are you betting? It was just a joke. He didn't believe everyone was so bold. Missouri said decisively, I won't bet. Sugu suddenly laughed, except those little girls. I found Veneto and Hindenburg. They were the only two wearing Santa hats and hanging their Christmas stockings on the wall, waiting for gifts. What do you want to say? Missouri thought for a while, and she suddenly realized, from these details, we can analyze that Veneto has completely regarded himself as a child. Sure enough, the more iceberg beauty, the more sultry. Hindenburg looks crazy, doesn't he? Silly elder sister, childish. Ha ha ha, I will laugh at them tomorrow. This trip is right. Sugu said, Hindenburg, you can do whatever you want. I advise you to forget about Veneto. If you can't beat her, don't humiliate yourself. Besides, she worked very hard to play the role of the majestic eldest sister, so don't ruin the scene. Since you said so, I'll give you some face. Among the laughter, there is only reputation. She is more stable and quiet than everyone else. Next I went to Scharnhorst's room, and then to the German sister's room. First, get rid of the dormitory building with the smaller number of people, and then go back to your own building. Passing through the Tutelary mansion, there was no wind at this time, and there was no sound of waves that usually lasted all night. There are no insects chirping in winter, everything seems quiet. The sound of voices, footsteps, and even the slightest movement can make the sound loud. Just as they approached the dormitory building, Missouri suddenly stopped and said, Did you hear anything? Heard it? What sound? Have no idea. Several people walked up the dormitory building, walked through the corridor, and finally stood in front of a room door. Missouri said, Sue, there is someone in your room. Sugu opened the door and heard only the sounds of beatings and angry scoldings coming from inside. I called you Christmas present. I called you Christmas present. Immediately, Sugu turned on the light and found an angry Saratoga holding a pillow and beating Bazai, who was sleeping on his bed with all his strength. Gaga. Oh, brother-in-law. Saratoga glanced at Sugu lightly, threw down the pillow and left. Bazai. Sugu said, What are you doing? Wearing a bright red Christmas dress, Bazai curled up on the bed. She didn't feel any shyness and said aggrievedly, I was sleeping. I don't know when Jia came, woke me up and asked me why I was here. She said I was a Christmas gift and she hit me. Sugu covered his face. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 740. Just getting out of bed, Sugu saw many gifts beside the pillow and on the bedside table. I picked up a gift and saw the name Atlanta written on it. I picked up another one. There was no name written on it, so I didn't know who gave it to me. Looking around, I saw more gifts under the Christmas tree in the corner. Obviously I didn't go to bed so much last night, but I really don't know who got up so early and secretly put gifts into their room. So many gifts, a surprised voice sounded. Sugu tilted his head slightly, and he immediately saw Bazai, whose medium-long pink hair fell on his smooth shoulders, and whose eyes were shining. I usually like to sleep in and won't get up unless urged a few times, but today was unexpected. Then I thought about it, someone must have seen it. I and Bazai, didn't expect Missouri, Helena, and Saratoga to keep their mouths shut. Combining the two, I'm afraid it will be spread everywhere in the town hall today. Bizai regarded himself as a Christmas gift, and the Admiral happily accepted it. His expression twisted, unable to think of a good way to explain. Sugu sighed. If you want to be seen, just see it. Bizai is a wedding ship. It's no big deal for two people to sleep together. Moreover, I no longer have any image, such as light, justice, majesty, stalwart, and strict self-discipline, which is completely out of the question. I don't regard myself as an outsider at all. I'm not an outsider in the first place. Bizai picked up a gift from Sugu's pillow and she looked at it. Without asking the owner of the gift, he tore open the package and saw a small red box. He opened the small box again and said, "Watch. It's boring." "Who gave it to you?" "Kaga." Bizai closed the small box and put it down. Picking up another gift, this one was larger, so she sat up, tore open the packaging, opened the gift box, and said in frustration, "Chocolate. What's better than opening a box, and a gift?" Seeing Bizai's excited look, Sugu felt suspicious. This girl didn't just treat herself as a gift. The purpose of coming here was actually to open the gift the next day. Bizai opened another gift, and she pushed Sugu. "Admiral, can you give this to me?" Sugu looked over and saw that the gift was a pair of funny-looking sunglasses. He thought to himself that it was winter and there was no dazzling sunlight. Sunglasses are of no use except for showing off. "Admiral, please." Bizai put on his sunglasses. "No matter what, well, no matter what, I'll play with you next time." If it were normal times, Sugu would be happy to accept it. However, even though the gifts given to you by others belong to you, you can do whatever you want with them. But just after receiving the gift, giving it to someone else will have some bad effects. He sternly refused. "No. Mean." After thinking about it, Sugu said, "You can wear it if you want, but it's mine." Bizai wrinkled his nose, non-committal. As a plump older girl who acts like a little girl, the lonely queen of the north is hopeless. Dolls, peace charms, books, folding knives. Sugu hadn't opened a few gifts yet, but Bizai had opened most of them, and she moved quickly. "I don't know if everyone has given away all the gifts, but there are quite a lot of gifts anyway." The gifts were almost opened, he was no longer sleepy, and it was almost time for breakfast. Sugu got dressed and got up. "I'll take a nap again." After opening the gifts, it was boring and the excitement was certainly gone. Bizai had no intention of getting up, so she retreated into bed again. "Get up," Sugu said with a straight face. "I don't remember." Bizai said shamelessly. "No, I'm sealed by the quilt and can't move." Sugu felt a little powerless and had no way to deal with Bizai. "I can't drag it, it's too heavy." The quilt was wrapped tightly and couldn't be lifted off. Education is useless, scolding is hard to bear. He climbed onto the bed, pressed down on Bizai, and grabbed one side of the girl's face. "Then don't blame me, I'll ask your sister to help you remove the seal, okay?" Bismarck, Bizai, Zyazai, Shugu, one thing fell, a stick, a tiger, a chicken. "No," Bizai shouted, "the seal is getting weaker and weaker. As long as you give me a little time, I can break free of the seal. Hurry up. I'll give you 10 seconds. 10, 9.9, 9.8. Bizai read for a moment, but stopped after seeing Sugu's expression. It took a lot of effort to finally wake up Bizai. After walking out of the room and walking to the corridor, Sugu met several little Lolita. "Admiral, I originally wanted to scare you. I waited and waited, but I fell asleep for some reason." Thatcher said, "You came so late." Unexpectedly, Sugu touched the head of the little fool Thatcher. After thinking for a while, he pretended to be confused. "So late?" I didn't go to your room. What happened? Thatcher said, didn't the Admiral put the gift inside the sock? Sugu said, you're talking about gifts. I heard that everyone got gifts, of course it wasn't me who put them there, it must have been Santa Claus. I don't know what time it is, but I've been waiting for a long time. It's a skinny Santa Claus, Sullivan said. I didn't expect you to be awake all the time, Sullivan. It was completely unnecessary. Sugu said, I told you, you will get a gift after you sleep. Sigsbee nodded in approval, feeling bored with the behavior of the two sisters. A lady must ensure adequate sleep. Sugu was about to go to the cafeteria and walk downstairs. Before he stepped on the ground, Sugu felt someone tap his shoulder. He turned around and saw York City holding a familiar large cardboard box over it, and his vision suddenly went dark. Thank you for your Christmas gift, my Lord Admiral. After York City finished all this, they clapped their hands and walked away. When I woke up in the morning, I saw an oversized Christmas gift placed on the bedside table. I thought that the Admiral had finally enlightened and realized that he was powerful and must please him. I once fantasized about what it should be, but it was actually so big. I happily tore open the package and opened the gift box, only to see a smaller Christmas gift inside. Open the smaller Christmas gift, and there is an even smaller Christmas gift inside. Taking it apart, one after another, like a Matryoshka doll. The gifts are getting smaller and smaller, shrinking terribly. I don't know how valuable an aircraft carrier would be if it were in someone else's garrison. In short, if the king treats his ministers like his hands and feet, then his ministers will regard him as his heart and soul. If his ministers regard his ministers as dogs and horses, then his ministers will regard him as a fellow countryman. If his ministers regard his ministers as earth and mustard, then his ministers will regard him as a bandit. Jumping down the stairs and walking through the office, there was actually a smile on York City's lips. Fortunately, it was not an empty box in the end, and I finally found a real Christmas gift. The gift is quite satisfactory, but it feels so bad to be teased like this. Sugu met Wichita at the entrance of the cafeteria. I've been waiting for the Admiral for a long time, but the Admiral actually put down the gift and left. Isn't he a man? Of course he's a man, Sugu said. It's all my fault that you didn't tell me earlier, otherwise I would have done something. Twisting her long wavy golden hair, Wichita stood up proudly and said, a beautiful woman wants everything she wants in bed, but you, a grown man, don't even move at all and are still relying on me. Are you embarrassed? How do you know I didn't do anything? Sugu said, I went to your room. You must have been asleep at that time. Wichita said, kiss me secretly, or lift the quilt and peek. Nothing was done, Sugu said. SHH. Walking into the cafeteria, Saratoga spotted everyone not far away. She glanced at Sugu angrily, and then looked at Bizai with dissatisfaction. It took a lot of effort to muster up the courage, but it wasn't actually difficult, and certainly not easy either. Anyway, I made a decision and sneaked into my brother-in-law's room. While imagining what would happen, I sat down on the edge of the bed, and then saw the quilt bulging on the bed. Curiously, I opened it and saw a person sleeping on it. It's really hard to describe my mood at that time. I was stunned, funny, angry. Bazai walked to his sister Bismarck. Something was obviously wrong on Saratoga's face, so Sugu walked over to sit next to her. Brother-in-law, you slept with Bazai last night. Saratoga was the first to attack. I asked her to go back, but after I distributed all the gifts, I found that she hadn't left yet. She didn't want to leave. What can I do? Sugu explained. He looked at his sister-in-law and thought to himself, I didn't know why you came to Bazai at first, but after listening to Missouri's preaching and teachings, he suddenly understood. It was originally intended to be a Christmas gift, but it was blocked. Saratoga said, if she doesn't leave, don't you know how to beat her? It's not good. Saratoga ate the cake and stared at Sugu in a panic. Bizai is so naughty, don't you know to call Bismarck? Sugu lowered his head and remained silent. I thought to myself, you don't know how great Christmas North House is, it's so cute, I couldn't praise it more. Wanting to pinch her brother-in-law, Saratoga said, how many times? Sugu usually hangs out with Bizai and doesn't expect his sister-in-law to be a pure little angel. Sugu said, do you want to be so dirty? Saratoga said, food and sex are the same. Sugu explained seriously, food means love. Color means beauty. It is our nature to love beautiful things. Yes. Eating and drinking, men and women, are the reasons why people have great desires. Sugu clapped his hands and said, Jia, remember you used to go to school. Well, your name was Shenjia at that time. Your sister always said that your grades were not good, you were at the bottom of every exam, you were a fool. Really, I don't believe it. How could it be so easy to change the subject? Saratoga said, you, Bizai, you are a bitch. Yes, we are bitches. Sugu was not angry. He reached for the cake in Saratoga's bowl and his hand was patted. If you want to eat, go get it yourself, Saratoga said, you are shameless. Yes, we are shameless, Sugu admitted. Suddenly, Saratoga was so angry that she didn't know how to express it, but actually she didn't feel angry at all. Lexington was sitting aside. Of course she could praise him for being smart, no, it would be more appropriate to be cunning and calculating. My sister finally mustered up the courage to encounter such a thing. This can't go on like this, we must help. With this thought in mind, she left her seat and walked to a pillar. Standing on tiptoes, I could barely reach it with my fingertips. Jumping softly, Lexington plucked the Christmas wreath hanging from it. She returned to her seat, shook the garland, and raised it. First he blinked at Sugu and asked his sister, Jia, do you know what this is? What? Saratoga was confused. Lexington said, mistletoe. The evergreen mistletoe represents hope and fertility, and is also a symbol of love. If a person stands under the mistletoe on Christmas and someone else wants to kiss her, she must not refuse. Merely being disrespectful can bring bad luck. If the man and woman are lovers, the kiss under the mistletoe adds another layer of wish-making. The two can grow old together and spend the rest of their lives together. Sugu paused, and after a moment he realized what Lexington wanted him to do. We were already so familiar and there was no pressure at all. He said, Jia, I can't refuse. What? How dare you touch me? Saratoga glared at Sugu. Of course, no one knew what she really thought. Before, I would have been shy, but now I am an experienced driver. Of course Sugu didn't care about Saratoga's threat. He put his arms around the girl's shoulders and saw her wide eyes, light pink color on her face, and seductive lips, and then slowly leaned down. After a long time, his clenched fists loosened, and Saratoga wiped her lips, pretending to be dissatisfied. It's nothing special, what, it's all saliva. With a smile on his face, Sugu pursed his lips. He also remembered what he had heard in college, with mistletoe on Christmas, we could go around kissing girls. But someone immediately said that the man was interested in having a concubine, and he was just playing with the meaning of the mistletoe. You are an outsider and ask for a kiss rashly. Don't be beaten to death as a gangster. You are overthinking it. It was very clear that everyone would not take advantage of others. Looking at Lexington and Saratoga, Sugu said seriously, if you are outside, no matter who is holding the mistletoe, you cannot kiss them. Saratoga lowered her head, she was still a little distracted. Who do you think we are? Sugu raised his hand, clenched it into a fist, and laughed loudly, what's mine? Everything is mine, no one can touch it, only me can. What a perverted possessiveness, Saratoga muttered in a low voice. Holding his chin, Sugu suddenly became amused. As long as I hang the mistletoe on the roof, can I do whatever I want today? I can kiss whoever I want, and I can kiss whoever I catch. Saratoga narrowed her eyes dangerously. Who do you want to kiss? Before Sugu could speak, a voice said, Admiral. South Dakota always appeared and disappeared, and he didn't know when he was sitting next to him, which made Sugu express his expression. Let's go, South Dakota fatty. Fortunately, Washington showed up in time. She grabbed South Dakota by the back collar and dragged him away no matter how hard he struggled. Sugu looked around and felt that many people were looking thoughtfully at the Christmas wreaths hanging on the wall while looking at him. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De-Rong Yan. Chapter 741. Christmas has passed, and Sugu has obviously recovered, but Sugu doesn't know why Saratoga has become waning again. Now he has fully adapted to his role as an admiral and doesn't have too many pretentious thoughts. Of course he could take the initiative, knowing full well that he would never get no. However, I am a little bit evil, and I am looking forward to when my sister-in-law will push back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, December passed in a few days, and it was New Year's Day again. In fact, for Sugu, it was not worth caring about at all. However, for the Japanese, this is their new year. Kenmei comes from the history and memory of steel. The first month of the Japanese New Year was originally the first month of the lunar calendar, but after the Meiji Restoration, it switched to the Gregorian calendar and became the first month of the new calendar. Hibiki's name is Trust now, she's not Japanese anymore. We don't care so much. If they have lucky money, we want it too. Everyone is wearing kimono, they are so beautiful. Missouri will give you one. Admiral, why don't you confess your love to Fei Ying? Well, Ziwihi is also wearing a kimono. The days passed quickly, and it was quickly approaching the end of January, and nothing happened during this period. Although most people have returned to the townhouse, there are still many people outside, but no companions have returned. No matter how rich, powerful you are. For a ship girl, without an admiral by her side, she lacks a spiritual haven. It can be said that living without a fixed abode is not much different from wandering. There was no indifference, everyone's efforts never diminished, and they tried their best to get information about the wandering ship girls from various channels. As long as it's about the same, I'll go directly to the door to see if it's my ship girl. Unfortunately, there is not a single piece of information like that. It's my turn to attack this time. York City, you just launched the attack last time. Please don't participate. Let's attack with CV-16 this time. Admiral, you can't be partial to MRS Dumpling. York City, are you really embarrassed to say this? You have already attacked many times. The sea area near the tutelage has always been safe. Deep-sea ship girls rarely appear. Occasionally, one or two appear and are quickly suppressed, even if they are not enough. It's New Year's Eve at the end of the month, and except for the Fishery Administration boat, for many people, it probably doesn't matter. However, as the Admiral, Sugu cares about marrying a chicken, a dog, a dog. For everyone, this is the most important festival. We made dumplings on New Year's Eve. Scharnhorst still remembers this time. Dumplings. Do we want to do the same activity as last time? Don't play, Sugu said. North Carolina, you still remember. 4 seasons in Chongchun, I don't know if I should say Cheongsam or a bust-wrap skirt. This is the dress worn on New Year's Eve in Chongchun. It is really too beautiful. Red envelope, red envelope, red envelope. Leipzig is thinking about this one. After a lively New Year's Eve, there was nothing going on in the town hall for several days. I wonder if the deep-sea ship girls also celebrate the New Year. It's definitely not for such a reason. In short, they are very cooperative and rarely cause trouble. The expedition came to a halt, which usually doesn't matter, but now no more missions can be arranged. No matter how generous the reward is, turn down everything. You can't make enough money, so you must take a good rest. There are no more social activities. In fact, this has always been rare for Sugu. After all, when he attends parties, he brings a rare, powerful, and beautiful battleship with him from time to time. There is a small house with a big killer in front of it, and a unique guided missile destroyer Changchun nearby. It is also an admiral commander who simply admires others. In this case, Europeans, please go to hell. It was many days after the New Year. It rained at night and it was a little cold the next day. Admiral, don't sleep. Eat and sleep. Eat after you sleep. Lexington stood and looked down at Sugu, who was sleeping in the kotetsu. Yeah, apart from responding, Sugu didn't do anything else. Although he was very reluctant, he honestly put on his long johns. But no matter what Lexington said, woolen pants would not be worn under any circumstances. Obviously, the correct way to deal with it is to stay under the quilt or the kotetsu and not go out. All the while, it pissed him off. Except for a few people, the garrison was well dressed. Richelieu, Missouri, Ziwihi, and others all wore black stockings, short skirts, or jeans. Showing off in front of him, they seemed not to be afraid of the cold at all. In fact, it still made him very happy. In the cold days, everyone long legs bring a lot of warmth to people. Thank you for laughing at Bazi. Lexington squatted on the ground, reached out and pinched Sugu's nose. Get up, don't gain weight again. Sugu fell asleep, looking up at Lexington's pretty face. Didn't you say that you would like me even if I turned into a fat pig? I like it. I don't care what happens to the admiral, Lexington said, but it's not good if it affects your health. I don't like high blood pressure, diabetes, coronary heart disease. The weather was getting colder and colder, but Bismarck didn't ask for it. He hadn't exercised for a while. Sugu said, if you gain weight, you should be a little heavier at most. Besides, if you don't gain weight during the new year, others will think you are abusing me. Even if you pamper the admiral, there is a limit. Lexington said with a straight face, no matter what, get up now and go for a walk. You have been staying in the room for a long time. It wasn't until Sugu left the room that Lexington said, does it have to be fierce? Walking in the governor's mansion, Sugu saw from a distance a group of little Lolita forming a circle under the bare phoenix tree. Master Su, although he is the admiral, as the largest person in the garrison, Sugu is only called Su. Anyone can bully Suk Bader and everyone calls him Mr. Su. What? Suk Bader had just finished speaking and found himself being hugged. Putting his hands under his armpits, Sugu picked up Suk Bader, who was wearing cotton clothes. Clasping his hands in front of his chest, he began to spin on the spot. After a long time, he let go of his hands and saw that the little girl was walking dizzy and staggering. After playing with a group of little Lolita and young girls for a while, Sugu soon became bored because they were too childish after all. Walking to the corner of the Tutelary mansion, there is a hexagonal pavilion, which has always been the territory of the British. In fact, to be precise, it should be Hood's territory, where she drinks afternoon tea every day. Compared to the busy cafe, the sea, sky, white clouds, sunshine, fresh air, sea breeze, she prefers these. But now I can't see Hood here. After all, it's winter now, so he has to be outside, which is really pretentious. A warm cafe with fire pits everywhere and most of the windows closed is the choice for normal people. Sugu sat in the pavilion for a while. The stone bench was a little cold, and suddenly an idea came to his mind, and he went to bully Hood. Arriving at the coffee shop, Sugu looked around. Her long, silky golden hair hangs behind her back, and a scarf wraps her long hair and neck. A thin sweater and a pretty plaid skirt. The long black stockings' legs are placed side by side together, and the black round toe shoes are lined up together. Hood was sitting on a wicker chair by the window, with a book on the small round table in front of her. He held a small porcelain cup in his hand, which contained fragrant black tea. Sipping a sip of black tea and turning a page of the book, Hood has an elegance that no one else has, which makes people feel ashamed. If it can always maintain such an appearance, no one will question the glory of the Royal Navy. It was strange. Every time he saw Hood like this, Sugu wanted to destroy him. He sat down opposite and said, "Stop the cat." Hood put down the small porcelain cup, raised his head, and said calmly, "Admiral, this is very rude." Sugu glanced at Hood's chest. Except for the 3 pocket battle cruisers, compared to Veneto, she was already a mountain. Her figure was a bit pitiful among the battleships. "I'm sorry, it turns out that Hood no cat stuffing today either." "Admiral, if you keep talking, I'm going to get angry," Hood thought. Except for the time when he wanted to try stuffing a cat in, he had never done anything like this, at least not in public. Sugu said, "Hood, you guys practiced yesterday, right?" "Yes." Sugu said, "I heard that you were beaten unconscious. Washington has grown up, and recently he suddenly wants to be the flagship and command everyone's operations. I tried it, and as long as I listened to the command, everyone in the formation could hit the enemy better and cause greater damage. There is just one shortcoming: everyone needs to give themselves complete trust. Currently, only the American series can do this. In order to improve better, rigid training alone is not enough, exercises are necessary. There are too few German battleships, not enough to look at. Not to mention the Japanese, many people from Mutsu, Fuzu, Yamashiro, etc. did not return to the garrison. Then we can only let Hood lead the British team as opponents. Although the Lions, Vanguard, Nelson, Rodney, and others have not returned yet, there are already enough people. There was no one-sidedness and the fight was back and forth. The exercise was quite exciting. Naturally, it is impossible to cause harm to people during the exercise. Everyone uses fireworks bombs, or simply does not load the ammunition. The winner is decided by several referees. Of course there are mistakes, but generally there are no problems. During this period, Hood took one hit and became immobile. He knelt and sat on the sea, thinking that he had been sunk. Historically, I was defeated at once, which obviously had an impact and caused a psychological shadow. I felt like I couldn't do it after even a little damage. Finally, reputation said, "Hood, you were just beaten, not even a small break, just a scratch. Get up and keep fighting, you can." At that time, he was so embarrassed that he wanted to sink. Hood began to defend, "Admiral, you don't know. That shell was flying straight towards me, and there was no way to avoid it. You don't know how scary it is, and you really feel like you are going to die. And, if you think about it, I usually get hit hard, and the ammunition depot is attacked and exploded. In this case, I will definitely be suspicious. Why do you get critical hits every time?" Sugu suddenly joked. Hood immediately became panicked, and then began to explain, "It's bad luck, what can I do?" and so on. A nice touch of sunshine in winter makes people happy. "Don't laugh," he kept mumbling for a long time, and then he clenched his fist and knocked. She did not use the power of the ship's suit. After a moment, she waved her hand and said, "It hurts." He came here specifically to have fun, but he couldn't give up so easily. Sugu said, "Hood, I heard that you had a quarrel with Prince Eugen again last night." Hood's expression paused. "Prince Eugen, that little follower of the thieving cat, doesn't learn well all day long. My lord, I don't care about the villain's faults, so I won't hit her, otherwise I can easily beat her to the ground. I finally understand that good people will be bullied, and good horses will be ridiculed. What kind of people are they?" Some people just can't get used to it. Once you get used to it, she will think that you are afraid of her, and you will push your limits every time. Of course Prince Eugen couldn't beat Hood, but since we were all sisters, we couldn't do anything, and bullying from the garrison was unacceptable. Then again, a little education doesn't matter, like Washington educating South Dakota. However, Hood couldn't convince others, so he didn't dare to take action. Elegance is completely gone, and it is definitely wrong to call her a shrew. Hood is like a poor little daughter-in-law who complains about others. She is wronged and needs help. However, Sugu knew the truth of the matter very well. He said, I heard that you first called Bismarck the thieving cat, and then Prince Eugen called you glasses girl, four-eyed girl, Sima-chan, lucky-e. Hood said, Bismarck, she is a cat thief in the first place. She actually instigated her sister to do that kind of thing. It is an unforgivable crime. Admiral, do you know what was painted in the Bazai? What? A Hood was raped by Bismarck and Prince Eugen. What are you painting in Bazai? In fact, Sugu knew the whole story very well. It's just that there is no airtight wall in the world, and the masterpieces of Bismarck and Prince Eugen X Hood in the North House were discovered. However, it was not like his sister Bismarck or Prince Eugen of the Gestapo discovered it first and burned it immediately. This time, Hood saw it. She didn't cause trouble for Bazai. She was suffering from paranoia. She thought it was Bismarck who was causing trouble, so she came to the door. Hood hesitated and couldn't say anything. Compared to many people, she was still very pure. It's that kind of dirty thing anyway. Really, you have found the wrong person. Bismarck didn't know anything about it. Bazai made his own decisions. Why Sugu knew it was a simple question. He was by Bazai's side at the time and made several suggestions. Anyone else would definitely have discovered that Sugu was wrong and involved in this matter. However, Hood had already entered a state of complaining about Bismarck. She said, it must have been sent by Bismarck, otherwise how could the Bazai have not been discovered for so many paintings? Sugu thought to himself, I'm sorry, someone is helping to cover. Anyway, it's Bismarck, that thief cat's fault. Hood finally finished venting. After a long time, Hood regained his grace and saw a smile on Sugu's face. She reacted, the Admiral came here specifically to bully me. Lowering his head, Hood whispered, the Admiral is really heartless. I am also your wedding ship. Sugu chuckled and thought to himself that he had been thinking about writing a story about the domineering President Bismarck and the rich daughter Hood. It's been fine lately, seems to be very exciting. When spring returns to the earth, Sugu encounters trouble because of this idea. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 742. What are you going to do? A large area of white and greasy skin on his chest and half of his shoulders were exposed to the air. Pulling helplessly at the collar of her shirt, Hood, the normally majestic eldest lady of the Royal Navy Society, had messy blonde hair and panic and embarrassment in her voice. Now that you're here, don't leave. The speaker had short silver gray hair and a tall figure. He was Bismarck, the deadly rival of the Royal Navy and the eldest sister of the German society. Bismarck drew closer, and Hood retreated step by step. She finally retreated to the end of the corridor, unable to retreat. Why? You are so powerful. I train hard every day just for this moment, Bismarck said. Hood wanted to resist, but he was no match for Bismarck. His hands were clamped and pressed against the wall. It was not that he was attacked, but that he was pursued and resisted. No, how could I lose so quickly? Why is this happening? Is it because the French society failed in the past and tried to coerce them to join the Royal Navy Society? In order to prevent them from joining the German society, They led a team to bully them? Prince of Wales, soon. Hood murmured to herself, and Bismarck heard her, and she smiled ferociously. Prince of Wales? She is too late. Ha ha ha. What do you want to do? At this time, Hood realized something was wrong. What do I want to do? Bismarck unbuttoned his chest. You ask me what I want to do. What do you think? Hood-chan is very beautiful. I called. You scream, no one comes to save you even if your voice breaks. Hood would never give in, the Royal Navy will never let you go. The Prince of Wales will be here soon, and you can't leave. Then wait until she comes and talk. I'll enjoy it first. Seeing Bismarck's handsome and pretty face approaching, Hood gave up and closed his eyes. The lips are delicious. Nice collarbone. My face is so slippery. And here. Finding a restless hand sliding down his lower abdomen, tears welled up in Hood's eyes. Bismarck, no, it can't be done there, please. No matter how much you beg, no matter how much you struggle, no matter how much you resist. After a long time, Bismarck chuckled, and she let go of Hood. It's delicious, thank you for the treat. The Prince of Wales finally rushed over. She looked at the senior she admired, kneeling on the ground in ragged clothes, wearing a coat, and cried, Hood. Hood smiled forcefully. Prince of Wales, you are here. The Prince of Wales lowered his head. I'm sorry, I couldn't help you. Clearly seeing Hood being violated, he couldn't get there, it was too late, and in the end he was actually run away by Bismarck. The Prince of Wales stared at the back of the man leaving in the distance, clenching his silver teeth. Don't let it go, you will never let it go, Bismarck must die. This is the room of the Prince of Wales. The Prince of Wales is sitting behind the desk, with a stack of papers in her hand falling on the table. Admiral, the writing is good. Sugu remained silent, thinking that it was boring to have nothing to do in the winter. I happened to bully Hood and it was so fun, so I did it on a whim. It was a mistake. It seemed that I just put the manuscript in the drawer in the morning. Sure enough, it should be locked up. It turns out that this has always been done. He had not been discovered, so he became more and more relaxed, and something happened. Why don't you keep writing? Sugu thought to himself, just pick one of them, Kevin, lazy, or lack of passion. In fact, there is a bit of them all. The Prince of Wales leaned back in his chair and thought, it doesn't matter if he writes something else, he actually writes like this. Prince of Wales. I admire my senior Hood to death. Knowing Hood's measurements well. Peeping at Hood taking a shower. My favorite thing is to bury my hair in Hood's underwear. In Hood's story, the Prince of Wales aside, Bismarck is naturally an indispensable supporting role. It is rare that she is here, it can be said that she is visiting the Prince of Wales's chambers for the first time. She crossed her arms, sneered again and again, and had a gloomy expression. Sister controls Bismarck. Bullying Hood. Love behind. Enjoy Prince Eugen every day and don't want to be responsible. Yandere Rodney chases after him. There is a secret lover Nelson who has an accidental relationship, and a daughter Rafi. The curtains are wide open and the light is great. Hood adjusted his glasses, the lenses reflecting light. Why didn't I bully that thieving cat? The Prince of Wales is quite cute. What kind of setting is this? In front of me, I am an elegant and dignified young lady. But in the back, my life is always messed up. I need the help of the head maid every day. What, I know housework. There is only one person with the reputation of the head maid. She is perfect, chic, and handsome. The Admiral really likes her the most. I think there should be another character added. The lion has no part in her role at all, and she doesn't appear. The same goes for the Vanguard. Lots of typos. There are many places where the transitions are abrupt. It's not smooth yet and needs to be changed. who had kept talking until she found that the Prince of Wales and Bismarck were looking at her, feeling a little confused, and then she stopped. His eyes swept over the sneering Prince of Wales, the expressionless Bismarck, and the confused Hood, and Sugu hesitated to speak. Finally, he raised his hands in surrender and said, "I was wrong. Literary girlhood is still thinking about what needs to be modified." Fortunately for Bismarck, he had such a sister after all, so he had already adapted to it. The Prince of Wales looked at his admiral and husband and sighed. Promising that he would never be annoyed again, Sugu finally walked out of the Prince of Wales' room and returned to the coffee shop sadly. Saratoga saw him. Leipzig looked gloating. "What did she ask you to do?" After receiving a good education, Sugu said, "It's nothing." Say it. Saratoga was immediately dissatisfied, it was so curious. After thinking for a while, Sugu decided to tell the story. Saratoga looked in disbelief. "Brother-in-law can still write novels. I usually tell stories to Xiaozai and the others." "Of course I can write novels." Sugu thought to himself that if he hadn't met Xiaozai, he would have thought of writing novels to make a living. It's discouraging that Hood actually said his writing was not good. Saratoga said, "I can write novels and I have good writing skills." "What kind of novel, what kind of writing style?" "It's just that the garrison collapsed and the admiral ran away with his sister-in-law." Sugu recalled it and immediately sneered. "Why are you laughing?" Saratoga hit Sugu. "Actually, I have always wanted to write a novel and then submit it to Sichuan Show magazine." Oh, Sugu responded casually and fell on the sofa. Saratoga glanced at Sugu dissatisfiedly and thought to herself, "Let me see. The garrison is controlled by the secretary-ship Lexington. People who love each other cannot be together. Let's run away, run far away, and wander around the world." On a dark and windy night, Sugu and his beloved Saratoga made a decision. "Climb the barbed wire fence." "Gone." Saratoga raised her voice. "Lexington found out his man got away." "Betrayal. Betrayal. The two of them actually dared to betray me." Saratoga pounded the table, trying to create an image of a person being angry. The sirens went off. The spotlights are on. Yorktown, CV-16, Raider. "You. Get them back now," Saratoga said. "Lexington is furious. Run quickly. Lexington's minions are coming." Saratoga hugged Sugu's arm. "On a snowy day, there were two of them, two of us. We hid in a tree hole and cuddled together to keep warm. CV-16 was wandering outside and couldn't find us. Two people were walking in the underground waterway. Water was falling from above their heads, and rats were passing by on the road. I was so scared that I jumped on you. You comforted me. Don't be afraid. Lexington's minions are here again. We hid in a kind-hearted family and pretended to be brother and sister. You are the brother and I am the sister. The daughter of that family likes you." I said, "Brother is my brother." We ran out into the big meadow, with the bumblebee chasing us, and we held hands. "There's a cliff ahead. No, we will never separate. Jump down." I'm not very good at swimming, so I sank to the bottom of the sea little by little. There was darkness in my field of vision, with only a little light on the surface of the sea. "Are you going to die?" Finally, you swam over, kissed me, and helped me breathe. Sugu said, "I can't do this kind of thing, I'm not very good at swimming either." Saratoga said angrily, "Don't talk." We ran through the city streets, the attackers were chasing us, and a car pulled up next to us. "Let's go up and tell the driver to hurry up. I found you." It turns out that the driver is Washington, and she is also Lexington's minion. "Let's jump out of the car together. I haven't eaten for several days. I saw a rabbit on the mountain, so I brought it to eat. There was no salt, no seasoning, and it was a little burnt, but it was still the most delicious thing in the world." York City came running over and we beat her together. She said, "Let me go, I don't dare anymore." I was soft-hearted. But you were cruel and said, "No, we had a fight about it. No, we absolutely there won't be any quarrels." We managed to escape. We hid under the eaves during heavy rain. The rain was like a curtain. I met gangsters in an alley. You rushed over and slapped each of them. They were so powerful, so the two of us ran away together. Sugu said, "You are a ship girl. If anyone dares to tease you, you can beat them to a pulp with one punch." "Shut up." Saratoga let go of Sugu's hand and picked up a fluffy pillow. "Lexington has many pursuers, and they have to run every day, but they can't stop two people in love. Saratoga is not shy either. On this day, two lovers express their true feelings to each other under the bridge. On this day, two lovers shout 'I love you' on the mountain. I love you, I love you, I love you." So many echoes. Kiss in the water. Kiss under the cherry blossom tree. Kissing in a restaurant. Sitting on a rock with lots of ants around, kissing. There are people offering incense, praying for blessings, hiding behind the Buddha statues and kissing them. Drink water. The water glass broke. Kiss. Playing idiom solitaire, the loser needs to be kissed. You always win, and I always lose. Peck, kiss on the face, deep kiss, wet kiss, the saliva becomes a line. Stick your tongue in. We were standing upstairs, and Missouri was standing downstairs. She said, "Give up, you can never be together." You said, "Tell Lexington that she can only get my body, but not my heart." I have already lost my heart. Belongs, and her name is Saratoga. Missouri looks at us, we look at her, and we kiss. Run. Run together. Run, run. Run, run, run. Saratoga blushed slightly. We are on a slope of grass. You take off my clothes. You said it doesn't hurt. I said be gentle. In the hot Sunday. In the rainstorm. In lightning and thunder. In the gentle breeze. Someone caught up with us, and we took away someone else's fishing boat. You said that after 100 years of cultivation, we can cross the same boat, and after 1,000 years of cultivation, we can sleep together. So we were on the fishing boat. You had a nightmare. You dreamed that your sister locked you up and demanded more from you every day. I comforted you and hugged you. There are many pursuers. Colorado, Maryland, West Virginia, Richelieu. An overwhelming shadow. Let's go. No matter where we go. We traveled through time and space and went back to the past. There were no ship girls there, only battleships, walking hand in hand on the street. There was an accident. You were with your parents and brother. You didn't recognize me. You were sitting at home and I found you. I said, "I am Saratoga, I am Gaga, I am Shenxia, I am your girlfriend, I am your wife." We traveled to the future. You said there would be television in the future. You were playing games and I was cooking with my apron on. You became a civil servant and I was your wife. Some people gave us gifts, but I didn't ask for them. You said we did a good job. Good wife. We go into mythology. You are Adam, I am Eve, and there is a snake called Lexington. We are in Sunta River, and there are flowers blooming everywhere. You said they are licorice. Nothing can stop us. Even if the world changes. Return. Saratoga's twin sons were shining, pregnant. You sing, "Twinkle, twinkle, jing jing." I asked what you sang, and you said prenatal education. We are going to have a child, preferably a lovely daughter, with 3 people holding hands. Not good. Lexington is coming, and she is going to take away our child. We must not lose it. Saratoga kept talking and suddenly turned her head to look at Sugu, not shy, brother-in-law, I really like you, I like you very much. Sugu paused, then put his arms around his sister-in-law Saratoga, thinking, I like you too. Not far away, Guam kept listening, thinking, Saratoga, you really only have a little courage. Saratoga here said, I really wanted to write a story like this, the story of my brother-in-law and I. Sugu said emotionally, then right. So, Saratoga is overrated. The girl started writing on the second day, and on the third day she wrote 100 words, and then said she wanted to read a book. She bought a lot of romance novels and didn't read a word for days. Sugu gave up. It's a sunny noon. Brother-in-law Saratoga held up a book. I found that there are many stories in this book, and they all happened in our garrison. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 743. Winter has passed and spring has arrived. The warm sunshine is shining on her body. She is wearing a white chest-wrapped dress, and her chubby white legs are pressed together. It's a bit exaggerated. I can't say that she has long legs, but she is still good enough to lick broken bones. Saratoga sat on a bench, holding her book aloft. Brother-in-law, Saratoga said, I found that there are many stories in this book, and they all happened in our garrison. Out of curiosity, Sugu took the book from his sister-in-law's hand and sat down on the bench. The writing is very good, the story is beautiful, and the sales are very high. I heard that he has been a talented beautiful girl author for a short time. When he found Sugu looking at him, Saratoga stuck out the tip of his tongue. What do you think of me like that? What the bookstore owner said is none of my business. Saratoga actually didn't like reading, and her grades in school were very poor. She kept complaining that her head hurt after reading too much. Every time I talk about her, I like to refute, anyway, I am a ship girl, anyway, I have my sister and brother-in-law to support me. Even though I haven't read many novels, I just read them when I feel like it. I started reading word by word and sentence by sentence, but I soon lost my patience and started reading 10 lines at a time. It's a thick book, and I can often read it in one day. In fact, later on, I no longer knew which person was which. I prefer reading comics, perhaps because of Baizai. But she was quite bad. For a while, she used a pen to circle which person in the detective comics she read was the murderer. Fortunately, Baizai has a good temper and doesn't like to argue, otherwise the friendship between the two would have been gone long ago. If it were any other person, a fight might have started. Even if they didn't take action, it was because they were both in the town guard mansion. I originally thought it would be the kind that many people in the governor's palace would like, such as the overbearing admiral falls in love with me, etc. Kawahide has many novels describing the love between the admiral and the ship's wife. Sugu took the book and glanced at the cover. There is no beautiful girl carrying a ship's uniform, no admiral, no sea, no battleship. It looked very ordinary. It was a short-haired girl hiding in the ruins with a camera hanging on her chest. Jia, you just said that many of the stories in the book happened in our garrison. What's going on? Saratoga replied, I always feel that the stories in this book are very familiar. Sugu flipped through 2 pages. The writing style is very good, I must admit this. But to say that it is familiar, I can't tell it at all. Saratoga leaned on Sugu's shoulder, let me tell you. Yes, Sugu responded and closed the book. The heroine is a war reporter named Igayu. Sugu said, what a strange name. Saratoga hit Sugu on the head and said, that's not the point. Igayu, one time she encountered danger on the battlefield, and was rescued by a team operating on the battlefield. Saratoga thought for a while, that team, the guerrilla team behind enemy lines, a man, many women. Sugu frowned, one man, many women? Women going to the battlefield. Is there anything wrong? Saratoga pouted, it's not like we are on the battlefield in the townhouse, so who is not a girl? Sugu explained, because you are ship girls. Are you discriminating against us? Is it weird for girls to go to the battlefield? Saratoga said with a straight face. Okay, stop talking. Do you want to listen? Sugu also felt that he had gone too far. It was just a novel. He raised his palms and said, okay, okay, I won't say anything anymore. The male is the captain of the team, and he is the male protagonist. His name is Jian Mingli, Zisha Mingli. Then there are the first, second, and third girls, Celica, Kiluo, Xingyuehuo, etc. They all have one thing they all have in common is that they all like the male protagonist. Originally, the heroine traveled around various units and reported on various things. Because of this incident, I suddenly wanted to follow up and report on such a small team. Fights in various places, dances in ruins, arguments, drinking under the moonlight, many things happened, and the heroine secretly had a crush on the hero. On the eve of the war, everyone was joking. Whoever can kill the enemy leader can go on a date with the hero. The heroine is a battlefield reporter. She didn't need to participate in the battle, but she was accidentally involved in the battle. Because she is a war reporter, not a delicate little girl. Anyway, due to some strange combination of circumstances, she killed the enemy leader. The heroine is looking forward to a date or something. But although the hero thanked her for her help, he went on a date with another person. The heroine finally leaves the team and the story ends. Sugu said, "What's so interesting about this kind of story?" "I think it's okay," Saratoga said. "Then what happened?" Sugu said, "I don't think so. So many stories happened in our townhouse." Saratoga said, "The male protagonist has no fighting ability. He is mainly responsible for various things. He is a correspondent, nurse, commander, and political commissar. Doesn't he look like an admiral? Forcibly build relationships. The male protagonist is not a very decent officer. He is a bit lustful and likes many people. Does he look like you?" "It doesn't look like that," Sugu said. 12 wives, there will definitely be more in the future, at least not less than 50. Don't say anything. 50 is too exaggerated. Saratoga pouted, "It's not an exaggeration, it's a very conservative number. 20 at most, 30 at most." Saratoga immediately slapped Sugu's thigh. "Do you remember Operation Valkyrie? Because there has never been a way to sink the deep-sea turpits, and then you say whoever sinks the deep-sea turpits will be given it. Ring. It was obviously Ayanamai who sank it, but you gave the ring to Bismarck." Sugu said, "Lingbo is still a little Lolita, do you want me to make mistakes?" "No longer a little Lolita, Ayanamai, well, at least she is a girl." Saratoga thought for a while, "Since you can do it to Fletcher and Changchun, Ayanamai is similar to them." Sugu said, Jia, please don't accuse me unjustly. When did I attack Fletcher and Changchun? The way Fletcher looks at you is wrong. You must have done something to her." Sugu thought to himself, it was just that he had accidentally seen the girl's naked body before. "Changchun jumps from behind on your back every day, sticks to your side every day, and wants to feed you." Sugu helped her. This was a difficult problem to deal with, and Changchun asked for supervision, but she was not aware of being a wife at all, and she was undefended. "Their breasts are still so big. That, baby-faced and giant ones, maybe you like them the most." Sugu wanted to admit it, but he couldn't. Saratoga made a joke. Sugu knew very well that no matter what, he was wrong. He thought for a moment, "Do you suspect that someone in our garrison became the author and then wrote this novel?" "At most, the stories are a little similar." Saratoga was non-committal. She said, "Vice Captain Cecilia, a wife, well, not a wife, I mean a wife's character, she feels very much like her sister Lexington. The person who stole the heroine's date, short hair, the kind of serious soldier." He happens to have a cat and a sister, and the sister is very accurate in shooting, but lazy. It's Bismarck and Bazi, that's right. Sugu said, it's just that their personalities are a little similar. One can be said to be a coincidence, but there are so many coincidences. And the many stories and short stories that happened in it, really, feel very familiar. Saratoga looked at the sky, stretched out her hand, and spread her fingers. In this case, Sugu said, did everyone really write it? Lingbo. Saratoga said, Ayanamai will definitely not be able to write such delicate and beautiful words. You know it again. Sugu also liked to play devil's advocate occasionally. Saratoga said shamelessly, I just know. Sugu said, I'm going to take a good look at this book. After spending an afternoon, Sugu quickly finished the book. The writing style is definitely better than my own. The rhetoric is not so gorgeous, but it is very comfortable to read. A large part of the psychological description, the cruelty of war, is not shown, and most of the battle descriptions are skipped. It seems like it's not a fight, it's all about love. If you look carefully, you can see some clues, but it's just a little bit. Who knows if it's self-righteous? As for the familiar little story, it was just a game at first, and Sugu couldn't tell it at all. Could it be that the male protagonist pokes the breasts of the female team members every day? Could it be that the little girl who falls down every time in the story completely fits the fantasy? In short, the pen name doesn't tell much. It's not a manuscript, so there's no way to tell about the handwriting. As for the writing style, Sugu went to Akage with the novel at night. Although he usually only eats and eats, as the eldest sister of the Japanese series, Lexington is an opponent worth worrying about and can be completely trusted. It's just that she read the novel all night and couldn't see anything interesting, but she was sure that Ayanamai would never be able to write it. Even if there is only a slight possibility, you must not give up. Sugu went to Sichuan Show the next day and bought all the books by this author. There are 2 novels and 1 short story. 1. She stood on the asphalt ground, and the falling petals of the cherry tree slowly flew on her shoulders. She looked at the man walking through the street. He was wearing a white shirt today, and his leather shoes made a nice crisp sound when he stepped on the concrete ground. It describes 2 good friends, the first girl and the second girl. Among them, the first girl falls in love with a man who passes by the house every day. What I must do every day is to stand alone on the road and watch the man walk by. From the clothes the man wears, the way he walks, and the expression on his face, guess what the man did today? When I went to work in the company, my boss made things difficult for me. Something went wrong at work, and I was out of my mind. When I meet a girl and confess my love, I walk briskly. Carrying the fishing rod and fishing box, I went fishing. Although she likes him very much, the first girl never takes the initiative to talk to him, as long as this is enough. At the same time, what the second female lead does is watch the first female lead every day and give her advice. How to strike up a conversation. What do men like? You should go up and confess your feelings. Finally one day the first girl went up, but instead of confessing to the man, she said that there was a girl who liked him, and she was the second girl. Although he doesn't usually show it, his intentions are very obvious. 2 good friends, they both understand each other's feelings and think about each other. It's just that at the end of the story, the man doesn't like any of them, he has someone he likes. Another one. The unlucky woman accidentally picked up a young girl. Because she could not find her parents and relatives, she was unwilling to send her to an orphanage, so she adopted her. They started out stumbling. The attitude towards life is different. Arguing over a small thing. There was a little trouble because of going to school. The 2 don't look like sisters at all, and they are misunderstood as having a child out of wedlock. I encountered embarrassment again at the parent-teacher conference. Gradually they understood each other and became close. Be friends, be sisters. Have a picnic outside and sleep in a tent. Go to the playground together. There are no ups and downs, it is a story about an adult and a young girl living together. The short story is about a girl who is very lucky, but the people around her are prone to unlucky situations. She didn't want the situation to happen, so she played alone every day. A Starry Night. This is Akage's room, decorated in a typical Japanese style. There was a plate of snacks placed on a low table, and now only the remains of food remained. There are several books lying next to it, one of which is open. Xianghe knelt down on the tatami and said, "War correspondent Ayanamai." Ziwihi leaned against the window, two good friends who fall in love with the same person, Akagi and Kaga. Akagi didn't know he was shy, and Kaga was drinking. He didn't know whether the blush on his face was because of shyness or because of the wine. Sugu fiddled with the carp streamer hanging on the wall and said, "The unfortunate girl is a monkey and the young girl is a big mackerel." Daifeng is Daifeng, don't call people stupid. Jia he was dissatisfied. Akagi said, "The short stories are Snow Wind, Wugang Snow Wind, Auspicious Snow Wind." Walking to the short side, he picked up a book and said, "Who could it be? Mutsu. No, that little slut, that big slut, definitely can't write such a fresh book." Fuzu, a little annoyed, Ruhi waved his hand, "Fuzu, the world champion, is definitely not her." As an admiral, Sugu has a general understanding of the character of each ship girl, Daifeng. Daifeng likes to read and write. Akagi said, "In my words, admiral, literary girl." Sugu thought for a while, "Actually, I can only say that she is the most likely." Kagami said, "You just told the story about the big phoenix and the big mackerel, and I don't think it's right. The character of the little girl doesn't look like the big mackerel. I think it should be an archerfish. The heroine's character is also wrong, no, the character of Daifeng. And the description is not of a slender girl, but on the contrary, mature and plump. Although it is the same as being unlucky." "Who is that, Consultant Sug?" "Have no idea." After another discussion, it was getting late. Sugu said, "Let's talk about it tomorrow if there's anything else." Let's go back to sleep." Kaga left first, followed by Shoukaku and Ziwikaku. Just as Sugu was about to leave, Shikung pulled his trouser leg and smiled. "Vixen," Sugu thought. In the corridor, Ruhi turned around and didn't see Sugu. She said angrily, "No wonder they told us to go back to bed. Pervert."